Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the journey with four weird dorks living in a Downcity area. The show is called Downcity Dorks. I'm your host, FerdytheNerdy, and this gentleman on my left is called
Aramis.
and this gentleman on my right is called
Chris.
Chris. Okay,
Enough. It's just Chris.
all right, and this other gentleman standing there in the corner.
Standing. He's sitting in the corner
On
on the
Sitting,
table.
Standing. Okay,
They
well,
don't need to
I
know.
am Schrodinger's position. I am neither sitting nor standing.
Holy shit!
Oh, damn.
But what do you call yourself, sir?
Oh, I'm Alex. Hi.
Hi. This is the show where we talk about anime and video games and news segments and other weird bullshit that's around in the realm of reality. Anyway, we're gonna start off the show with our usual thing where we do news segments and then we jump into a review. But before we do that, let's give a short introduction of ourselves and what got us into such things of anime and gaming.
All right.
Starting with Aramis.
Wow, that's... Whew. Question of the day right
Don't
there.
worry. No 5-star backstory. Just a quick overview.
It started with Pokemon Yellow, way back in the day
Nice.
when it was cool to play on the Game Boy Color and all your friends still
Hey.
had Game Boys.
I
And
wish I could have afforded that.
yeah, Dad was like... Yeah, I went to the Caribbean where nobody had either, and my dad's like,
Damn.
I got something for you when I get there. I'm like, he comes to me, just gives me a Game Boy Color. I'm like, what do I do with it? He's like, this. Gives me Pokemon Yellow. Yep, I lost it. I mean, I was watching Pokemon. So that's how I got into anime.
Awesome.
Pokemon, Inuyasha. Yes, at age 6. Totally should not have been watching
No,
half
that's
of
fine.
these.
I know that's. I know that life.
Cardcaptor Sakura. I just watched it because why not? It was on when I was right after school. There was nothing better on.
I actually have never seen Cardcaptor Sakura. Is that a good series? I don't know.
It actually is pretty decent for the
I
time.
remember it being okay.
It's innocent. Like, you have to understand that it is what it is, and it's good for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but-
definitely.
Then I got into manga, or mangoes as Americans like to
yes,
call
I
it.
love me some mangoes.
in
You
middle
reading that
school.
manga?
That mango.
What about the Magna books?
Oh, shit.
Dad.
I got into Naruto because what is pronouncing things correctly.
Yeah.
Naruto. I love that series.
Got into Clorox.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I know.
Color
Shame
or
on
white?
you.
Got into Bleach. Skipped Death Note because everybody and their mother wanted to just slam me with the books, and
Oh,
I
we'll
just
get to
ignored
that.
it. Which you'll understand why later.
Yeah.
It just kind of evolved from there. After 2007, I just kind of stuck with gaming and anime because it just never stopped being interesting for me.
Great. That's awesome.
All right.
What about you, Alex?
Oh, all right. Well, gaming I remember just kind of falling into as a kid because when you're a tiny child, you play games, and the second someone told me they were on the computer, I was like, awesome, I'll do that. And that's just been like an ongoing thing with my life. Anime, like the big thing that I'm passionate about, I have liked since it just always has existed for me. When my memory turned on, I knew 3 things. I like Digimon, I like Pokemon, I like Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
And
That's A1 stuff right there. Quality childhood.
yeah, of
nice
course.
Shit.
Um,
Golf
Thank
clap,
you,
guys.
thank
Golf
you.
clap. I like how you
awesome.
started with Digimon too. Never enough love for Digimon. Good
I
shit.
still love more than
We
Pokemon.
started
I
with
will
good-
fight people on
God.
All right, in this podcast, god damn it, we start with Digimon before Pokemon.
Thank you.
Unless we get to like past season 4, then we just don't.
Yeah.
Amen.
There was only 4 seasons, guys.
Amen.
There was only 4.
But,
It stops where you get to start
yeah.
punching Digimon yourself. That's where it stops. Everything after that didn't exist. I
Hey,
don't know
man,
what
Daniel Squad was the shit, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Literally.
So, but yeah, I liked anime since before anime was, like, I even knew what anime was. I didn't even learn about the term until I was, like, in 4th grade in elementary school. Up until that point, it was just, these are awesome cartoons that I really like. And I've been watching them all my life. I love the stories. I love the concepts. It kind of draws into my love of animation in general, because I'm a huge fan of Western cartoons as well. For anyone who's wondering, I got a Steven Universe hat on right now. I am that trash can.
Wow.
You're the best trash can.
Self-aware.
Hell yeah.
Also
But,
known as Alex Wolf.
Yes.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Good
But-
night. I'm going to sleep. I'm done. Good night.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
it's always been an interesting. I like the stories. I've watched a lot of dubbed anime growing up, so it kind of developed my love of voice acting, which is something I've been going into. So it's just always been a part of my life, and it's always something that I have always been passionate about. So yeah, that's kind of it's brought me here, I guess. And here we are, we're talking about stupid opinions on the internet.
Nice shit. I
thought-
can't wait to get bashed. Nice.
Yeah.
No.
What about you, Chris?
Wait, I thought all
Oh,
the cool
boy.
kids were doing
Hold
that.
on, wait a
Getting
moment.
bashed on the internet.
Wait, what?
All the cool kids are getting bashed on the internet. Didn't you know?
Oh yeah, facts. Facts. 100. 100 over 100. Oh shit.
Tell us your story, man.
Oh, my story. I don't remember my childhood. I don't know where I started. I lied.
Are we sure this is the real Chris?
Are
Who
you
brought in the
hallucinating?
synth?
Oh shit. Get your follow.
Real.
Have an ass out.
3. 4 can go suck itself.
I'd prefer New Vegas, but I respect your opinion.
All right,
New Vegas
respectable,
trash, I don't
respectable.
New
Anything
Vegas,
that's not for.
New Vegas trash. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
not. You know what?
Fuck you for having a
All right. If,
We can have a New Vegas
you know what? If
discussion on
New
another
Vegas
point.
is trash, Fallout 4 is just Fukushima.
Oh.
All
All right, we're in the middle of something. Chris, your nerd origin story. Let's go.
All right, perfect. So my parents died, and
Oh,
that's
God.
Batman's story. Oops. All right, going back to it though.
He's in deep.
Oh yeah, I'm in deep. Ooh. So I can't necessarily pin down where I started with anime. However, I can pin down where I started with video games. So when I was a youngling, around the age of 4, possibly 3, I just started learning how to talk. it was that bad. So my parents saw that I was quite hyper, a little violent. Nothing too serious. So they were just like, okay, we need to figure out a way to tame this child. I will not allow this kid to get outside of the house anytime unless it's to visit family. So instead of having a normal childhood like everybody else, going playing fucking ball with the neighbors or whatever the fuck. In fact, I still don't know the neighbors' names, if I'm being quite serious. And I've lived in the same place all my life.
All right.
Oh,
Facts.
that's actually kind of sad now that I think of it.
Oh,
We
so
need sad little violins in the background.
the world's tiniest violin.
Oh shit. And that's what started my journey into the antisocial disorder that I have today. Anyways, back to it though. Woo! Back to it. My parents bought me a PlayStation 1. And so I fucking adored that thing.
Did you
because
get
the
Toy
first-
Story for it?
No. What they got me, however, was Crash Team Racing.
Oh hell yeah!
And then followed
Yeah.
up with the original Crash game, followed it up with the original Spyro game, then Spyro 2, Year of the Dragon, fucking Crash 2,
And
Warped.
3.
Just it was good times.
You know what? It seems he counted a lot in 3s.
Yes.
I'm proud.
It's
There
my
you go.
favorite number, by the way.
If only Valve could understand.
Oh shit.
Shit.
I wish Square Enix would get there. Cries about Kingdom Hearts.
It just I'm telling you, Kingdom Hearts 2.9.5, dude.
They said it's coming out next year. I have to believe.
But we're on 2.98, the final epilogue. I'm
To
sorry.
be a Kingdom Hearts fan is to suffer.
To suffer in silence.
I didn't know we were Marines here. What the fuck?
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
All right. So that's my little gaming origin. Since then, I also share the sentiment with the Game Boy Color. I remember I was in middle school actually when I got a Game Boy Color. The Advance has been out for a while. The DS has been out for a while, and so my parents are just like, "Hey, I found this Game Boy Color. It's see-through. Here you go, kid.
Sweet.
Pokemon Yellow. That's the only game you got. Enjoy." And I'm just like, fucking Christ, this is addictive. I remember I'd be playing that shit until like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was just like, fuck, batteries dying.
Better say.
Yeah. Now, jumping from gaming to anime, I don't know when I started, or even what I started with, but just ballpark guessing, it was probably Pokemon. The original
Dragon Ball
Pokemon.
Z.
That came after. That's afterward. So the original Pokemon anime is probably where I started. I'm not entirely sure.
Were you also a Toonami boy?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yo,
dude.
Toonami was where it was at.
Yo, listen, guys. This is gonna sound hella weeb, but when we first saw, like, when we got the first glimpse of Naruto's nine-tailed fox coming out of him, like, what was it, the Haku episode? That little saga?
That was like episode something like 50 or 40.
Something like
it
that.
was early days.
I have
It
no
was early
clue,
days, yeah.
but it was deep into the night when I watched that, and I got shivers. That shit was hype. I was just like, oh!
Yeah.
Fucking elementary school Chris could not handle himself. You knew I was deep in the conversation in middle school. I was just fucking talking to every little nerd around me. I was just like,
that was me when Goku went Super Saiyan for the first time. I remember seeing that the day it aired on Toonami and losing my goddamn mind.
Yeah.
Oh man, that just brings back memories. Like seeing the original when everybody thought Inuyasha was over, I was destroyed.
Yo, can I just talk about, because you brought up Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
This is way after that arc, like way.
Sure.
But into Boo, right? I remember that I couldn't see a scene with Boo for its entire duration because he'd always be doing some weird shit that would creep me the fuck out. I would run up and down the house, like, because I'd get filled with, like, energy and, like, anxiety or whatever the fuck. So I'd have to, like, I'd physically have to expend that energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember specifically when Boo entered, I think it was Ultimate Gohan's body, or it might have been Goku's.
No, you were right with Ultimate Gohan.
It was
He absorbed
Ultimate
him.
Gohan?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he flew into his mouth, and I fucking yelled at the top of my lungs, ran up and down the halls of my fucking house. My parents were just like, oh my god, what happened? What happened? I was just like, oh my god, Dragon Ball Z.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, Dragon Ball Z had some nightmare fuel for
Oh
this
yeah,
time.
100%. But
All right.
it was from that point onward that I just became an addict, and I don't even know what my
We don't talk
view
about it.
list
Well, I think
has got to.
I feel like the moral from from your origin story is I'm glad your parent, let's be thankful that your parents got you into this so that you're on this harmless podcast and not Netflix is making a murderer, which seems to be the way it was going.
I mean,
Ow.
we could talk about that for a later day.
Excellent. We're gonna go deep into the origin stories next time. All right, Ferdy, what about you?
Ferdy, the fearless leader of this group. Pretty much I started. How'd I go back? What the fuck?
It was a fly needed to die.
Okay, that sounds fair.
Shit, we gotta cut. Editing.
Pretty much. I started off with a Nintendo Game Boy Advance playing Link's Awakening, Legend of Zelda. That was the first Legend of Zelda game I ever started with, and I've been hooked on it ever since. Going from the Game Boy Color to PlayStation 1. For PlayStation 1, I got introduced to Crash Bandicoot.
Hey.
1, 2, and 3.
Hey,
Nice.
same.
Beat them all when I was a kid.
I think 3 was my first PlayStation game.
And
I feel you on that.
yeah.
Oh my god, give me that tiger any
Then
day.
I learned about Spyro, jumped into that franchise, and
Spyro
played.
over Crash?
Yeah.
No.
Fight me. Right now. Throw them hands right now, boy.
Let's go!
And then
Fighting words.
and as I jumped to the PS2, went straight to Ratchet and Clank. Love this.
played
Oh,
Ratchet and
nice.
Clank.
I love Ratchet and
I
Clank.
never had a
Strange.
PS2, so
My PS2 jump was to Jack and Daxter, actually.
Ooh, my PS2 jump was Ratchet and Clank. I thought that
Nice.
shit was awesome.
I owned a PS2 late in the game, but my first game was actually Bully.
Ooh.
Really? Wow.
interesting.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I had a GameCube before a PS2, so that's why I got a massive delay between the two systems, because let's be fair, in 2005, owning a GameCube and a PS2, yo, your parents have to be L1T lit to do that for you.
L1T lit. Wow.
Yo, for
Like-
real.
I'd love to see that on a business card. Like, hello, I am... If you see my qualifications, I am L1T lit. Therefore, you know that I am now the president of this organization.
Pretty much.
CTO
I did get a
ASAP.
GameCube later on, and that was because I wanted to play Star Fox Assault, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, Sonic
Nice.
Adventure 2 Battle,
Smash Bros. Melee?
Yeah.
Bro, we started on opposite ends. My
Duh.
first game was Pokemon Coliseum.
Am
I
the
never
only one
played
that
Coliseum.
fucking- That got an Xbox, the original. Am
I
the
had
only
it.
one?
I got an Xbox way later, but that was just to hack it for fun.
Oh,
I
that
was never an Xbox kid. For the PS3 generation, I ended up getting an Xbox 360 instead, but that was not my choice. I would have always been with Sony boy.
I was PS1 into Xbox into PS3 and now PC.
Looking
Race.
back, I love the GameCube because of Donkey Kong Jungle Beat.
Nice.
It was one of the coolest Donkey Kong games I ever played.
That's
fact-
perfect.
That's
yeah,
great.
the
I love the Wii remaster.
Yeah,
they did
when
for
you
it.
fucking like control Donkey Kong by playing the bongos and beat the shit out of bad guys like fucking JoJo's Bizarre Adventure style, it was fucking insane.
That was back in the
Pretty
wonderful rhythm game days where it was cool to play rhythm games.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still cool to play rhythm games.
You know what? I'll be real with you. We could do a complete standalone episode on the rise, climax, and then dramatic death of rhythm games.
Oh yeah, that's
Dude.
gonna be its whole
Future topic
history
right
lesson
there.
in and of
That
itself.
is a future topic, if you
But,
ask me.
Ferdy, you were talking
Hey,
about gaming. What about anime though?
anime. No, that's a whole nother ballpark. Anime started with me back when I was living in the island in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Cool.
We did have American cable, and at the time they were showing Sailor Moon.
Nice.
Sailor Moon was where it first started, man.
That's awesome. I remember like the Toonami days watching Sailor Moon and then watching Dragon Ball Z right after it.
Yeah.
So you
Ironic.
went from feminine series to extremely masculine and beefy as fuck series.
It was
That's
just
pretty much.
I got to watch two badasses from both sides of the gender spectrum doing cool badass things.
Pretty much.
You know what the irony is? I watched Sailor Moon before it even got on Toonami. I don't even
Really?
know how. We had like a deluxe cable package because at the time when I was young, my sisters were living with us too, my cousins. So I guess somebody was like, "Yo, we need a deluxe package." But I was watching channels that were international, so that's how I watched a lot of my anime growing up. I just
Right.
happened to have international channels that had access to certain shows because of syndication and all that.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
I hear you. Sailor Moon to Dragon Ball Z, and then as me and my family moved to the mainland in America, I jumped forth further and got hooked on One Piece.
Ah, nice.
That's where you lost me.
One Piece, okay. Well,
You're a trooper.
Well, fuck
I
you too.
could have.
Hey, man,
I
it's not that
almost
I hate
got
it.
hooked to it, and then I realized it was one of those shows. Not saying it's bad, but it's the never-ending factor that would drive me mad.
But if it's a good show, you never want it to end. You don't want a good show to end.
That's the weird thing. I actually like things to end.
Well,
the fuck?
generally,
Nani?
yeah, I like a complete story myself. I think with One Piece, it's generally don't watch the anime, read the manga. 'Cause
I read the manga
manga's
and I
still
liked it better.
consistently great.
Yeah, I that's how I found out about One Piece by reading a Shonen Jump magazine, and through reading Shonen Jump magazine, that's where I found out about Shonen Jump, and comic book industries and stuff like that. And anyway, from there on, I kept moving forward. That's where I learned about manga. That's where I learned about anime. That's where I learned about Naruto and Yu Yu Hakusho and Rurouni Kenshin. And I got hooked ever since.
Cool.
I've always been a Shonen Jump fanboy since I was a kid.
There you go.
I always trusted them.
everyone is.
Yeah, I feel because it's a company that kind of published
Babies first,
Yeah,
Yeah, babies first.
I remember buying the magazines too.
Yeah, I bought
I remember
like one
borrowing the
volume.
magazines from my school and my friends.
yeah.
Yo, subscriptions? Those things cost a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
I remember,
My
but
dad looked
think
at me like
about
I
it.
was crazy for wanting
But
the one.
the thing about it, nobody knows Shonen Jump until you tell them, "Oh, that's the group that published Dragon Ball Z." And everybody's like, "What?"
Well, I mean, if you're in the anime community, everyone knows who Shonen Jump
I mean,
is.
if you
They're-
don't,
Yeah.
They're kind of the big daddy.
Yeah.
Of the series.
Yeah,
I guess, and that's your.
that's pretty much my story.
You know,
Well,
now.
then, what was I saying?
No,
Before we,
you go.
I just figured as a quick kind of rundown, just as a final intro for each of us, is why don't we bring up what our favorite video game and anime is? Don't have to go in deep into it, but just bring it up and see where you guys kind of stand on your tastes.
Okay, favorite anime of all time will always have to be Bakano.
Oh, me too! Damn you!
Bakano. The reason why I say this is because the English dub, they had to put so much effort,
So good.
To the English dub that it made the entire series extremely enjoyable.
Yes. What about favorite video game?
Favorite video game, it would have to be.
Don't think about it too hard. It'll change. I'm sure it'll change one day.
Okay, it would have to be Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original one.
For the PS2?
Yes.
Nice. What about you, Aramis?
Oh man, for me, favorite anime would probably be Ronin Kenshin. Like
Nice.
I watched it a lot later than because I remember watching part of it growing up and then it disappeared because the
Yeah.
license and stuff. But I got to watch the proper dub again last year, and I fell right back in love with the series all over again. I
Nice.
remember why I liked it, and honestly, it's probably one of the few '90s animes that you could forgive it for not entirely following the manga. You really can.
Yeah.
It doesn't offend the source material, in my opinion. For a game, honestly, it'd probably be Skate 2.
Ooh, interesting choice.
Interesting.
That's nice.
I loved the Skate series, and in my opinion, it was the best series that Black Box as a company ever made.
Nice.
Not to say that Need for Speed Underground 2 didn't live up. It was. It was the best racing game they ever made.
That's fair.
But overall, the Skate franchise was just there.
That's cool. It seemed nice. I was always more of a Tony Hawk kind of kid.
Yeah,
But-
it's the same.
I grew up with Tony Hawk too, and for me,
yeah.
Tony Hawk kind of it peaked at American
yeah.
Wasteland.
I agree.
Project 8 was okay. It was just a good rethread of American
Sure.
Wasteland without the charm.
I
Unfortunately,
just feel like, in regard to, for me, in my personal opinion, Tony Hawk, like, I feel like it reached its peak when it went to Pro Skater 3.
Really, I loved the
no,
Underground.
that
I
was
love
still
Skater
that
3.
was still they were still developing.
Yeah.
That was not, I think, the extent that we saw of Neversoft
Yeah.
back then.
I adored 3, but I feel like they really the best work they did was Underground 2, personally. But you know how it goes. For me, my favorite game was my favorite anime is Bakano, which you've already brought up.
Yes.
And, it's so good.
I
I'm gonna have
know.
to
I
watch
love
I'm a
it.
Tarantino fanboy, so that anime is basically if Tarantino directed an
So
anime.
Tarantino the anime.
Complete with dialogue-driven scenes, gratuitous violence, and fluctuating timelines. It's wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
As for favorite video game, I'm a fucking loser. It's Kingdom Hearts 2. That game still, I could revisit that game 1,000 times and not get
Honestly,
bored.
I'm not even gonna blame you because for me, I thought Kingdom Hearts is really cool,
Yeah.
but I just got tired of the constant re-releases over the years.
Oh,
that
no, that's
burns
fair.
me out really quickly. Not even when I say re-releases, I'm specifically talking about 2. 2 has been re-released and remastered 8 times now.
No, not as much as Skyrim has. It's been
It's
re-released
4 or 5 times though.
2 or 3.
I feel like
Still
more than one
annoying.
is too much.
Yeah. Totally respectable. It's just Tetsuya Nomura owns my soul now. I think I signed something in blood when I was 12 that was
Like-
I will forever spend all of my money on every Kingdom Hearts thing.
Does that include your firstborn child?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. I should have read the fine print. It was my bad. All right. Chris.
Chris.
What is Chris's favorite video game and anime?
Okay, I'm probably gonna go to the one that I can answer and completely ignore the one that I can't. Fuck you, viewer. So,
Wow.
Well, that got really edgy really fast.
yeah. So I actually brought up my favorite game of all time. It's probably Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage.
All right, cool.
Ooh.
Or Rage of Ripto, whatever.
I noticed that none of ours really go past
Rage of Uncle Reptor? Yeah, I know. That's the best game ever, yo.
Yeah, man.
they're all fairly old titles.
If you live in Europe, then it's Gateway to Glimmer, but whatever.
Sure.
So that game owns my soul, just like Kingdom Hearts owns yours. It is a game that I've bought, I think, 7 times now.
Ooh.
Damn.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I've given it away to people who have robbed me, never gave it back. And so I have had to have bought it again. And I bought the digital re-releases. It's just, man.
So you're waiting for the PC release?
Yes.
You're waiting for that PS4 remaster of the Spyro trilogy.
Listen, I have told
Which
my
got
friends
leaked.
this many times. Many times I've told my friends, and this I mean with every ounce of sincerity that is in my being. The moment I hear of a Spyro remaster, redesign, whatever, graphical update of the original trilogy, I'm buying myself a PS4. I don't own a PS4. I will buy it solely for that. I wouldn't even buy any other game. Fuck the rest of the catalog. I just want
basically
that
why
game.
No, man, you gotta get the Pro. If you're gonna go balls to the
I'm
wall,
going balls deep, dude.
yeah, you gotta get the
my
PS4.
whole fucking
You gotta get a
pelvis is inside,
PS4
dude.
Pro and a 4K TV.
my shaft will be 7 inches into Spyro's rectum by the time this game comes out.
I don't know. Jesus, man.
And you said you can't answer for favorite anime?
I can't, actually.
It's all of them.
What about,
It's-
alright, so how about recommending one that you truly love?
Recommending one.
Rage
that
of Hell.
Okay,
Don't
no!
go there!
No.
Wait, what?
That's too...
No, but like, what one would you recommend to the audience?
To the audience, another fucking oldie, but this
Nothing wrong.
wouldn't really make too much sense unless you have started the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
It'd probably be Zeta Gundam. No, you know what? Actually, one that you don't have to like watch the originals for. G Gundam.
Oh, hell yeah, G Gundam's
G-Gundam.
great!
Fuck you.
was the shit.
This is something stupid, lighthearted. Yeah,
It was real.
It's Street Fighter with giant robots. What's
Exactly.
wrong with that? Nothing's
Exactly.
wrong.
What
Anybody can
what
watch
is there
it.
to not
Children,
like?
adults. It has comedy, romantic themes, ridiculous amounts of action.
Can I point out tension every episode?
Yes.
Just,
Thank you. Awesome mech design. The music was
Yeah.
nice.
My only piece of advice is get ready. It is silly. You will never be able to take the final attack, Burning Finger, seriously.
erupting burning finger. I'm not
Just-
even gonna get
That's
into.
a disease.
Listen, I am not even gonna get into the fucking like the monologue before he uses the attack. I'm not. I'm
So
just
do
not.
we just mute at that monologue and just like
Just-
throw in some classic jazz?
Can we talk? Can we talk about the beautiful, amazing, synthetic latex suit that the main character has to wear so that he can
Got me
synchronize?
feeling some kind of way.
Oh man! Oh mama!
Listen, Domon was hot. He was a very nice looking man.
I mean, that butt though.
That butt.
That
That
was-
butt.
The cheeks of steel.
Welcome back to the Dat Butt podcast.
Actually, you know what we should do? We should make an episode specifically on G Gundam. I don't want to hear it. If you haven't seen G Gundam,
you know-
I'm like actually like
You know
I do
what?
a Gundam episode.
It's time to rewatch G Gundam, is
Yeah.
what you're saying.
yes, yes.
All right. So now that I
Intro's
think
out of the way.
now that I think we've gotten our introductions and a little bit of our background out of the way, I think it's time to kind of hop in our news section, which we got some interesting stuff, some really hype stuff, and then we got the L1T lit. Like, this is gonna get real, guys. So
Sure, let's go down the list.
Shit's about to go really, really good or really, really bad. But the first one is really, really bad. Gravity Rush 2 game's online service ends in January in Japan. And now, for those that don't know, Gravity Rush series, you play as a girl who has the power of gravity, so she can fly up and down, and uses the powers to pretty much save her town. The game, the sequel, had a bit of a DLCs in online service. However, they're now trying to shut it down. It will end on January 19, 1 year after the game's release. Players will be able to play it offline after online services. So this gets me a bit worried because it raises questions. What led them to the decision of shutting down online services for this game?
I'm still operating personally on the theory that online play isn't nearly a priority in Japan as it is here.
Mhm.
well, I mean, the game doesn't really have online play in the sense of like
Well, it's
multiplayer.
two-player.
It has 2-player, which I think that's important to keep in a game because it's about playing with your friends. But I mean, you're also losing the ranked leaderboards, sending and receiving treasure hints, photo ghost, acquiring dusty tokens, and the rewards. You literally have nothing to do after the
Well-
service gets shut off.
Well, true, but I would still make the argument that they're not shutting them down for no reason. I would still probably make the argument that, at least in their domestic market, there is not a high demand for that specific online server. And especially considering it's only in Japan. The rest of us, we could still use all that stuff if we were playing this game.
XD.
Yeah, but I mean, I look at it from the perspective of, let's be real. The server that runs this is a global. It's one computer. This little old abandoned Dell Precision tower that they forgot about and found and retooled it into a server. It's dude. You don't need anything complicated to keep track of who got number one on a challenge, right?
Sure.
So I mean, it just feels a little bit weird because to give you like an example. EA's left games up that have the most like rudimentary basic online interactions. I mean, almost more basic than Gravity Rush 2.
Okay.
And they didn't get shut off for 12 years because they forgot.
Well,
Wow.
Wait,
could
are
just
you
be
serious? They just forgot?
Yeah.
still, it could just be lack of interest. What was it? I'm gonna pick up from that. We'll just edit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still think it could be lack of interest. I think if the domestic market is just like, no one's really using this. Why bother keeping it open? I feel like that's probably more likely. I don't think they were just like, fuck all the domestic market and just shut it down. It definitely feels more like it's probably not being used, so why let it collect cobwebs? Let's just get rid of it.
I guess you can turn off the text file for Japan.
I guess.
You know, I mean, from that perspective, it does make sense and it is a reasonable argument to make. But I've always found it worrisome for games to just have their features disconnected that quickly, you know?
No, I get you.
It feels weird. Usually, like Aramis said, in regards of the other group that forgot about shutting down their yeah. Usually they will leave. Usually in the game they will leave the online services for at least 5 or 10 years before shutting it down. But this is rather quick, if you ask me. But that's just my opinion. If they want to do it, that's their choice. I hope the same thing doesn't happen for the American servers.
I get you.
I don't know how I feel about this, honestly. I personally am, like, obviously since I don't live in Japan, it doesn't affect me. But more than anything else, I feel that Gravity Rush as a title isn't, like, it's just unnecessary. The online components to the game are just unnecessary. I don't really, like, the core experience of the game isn't to be multiplayer. It's just kind of a open sandbox where you can float around and do shit with maybe a single buddy. You get me? So I don't think that this really hinders or does anything too negative towards the game's lifespan.
No, I'm sure.
More than likely, the lifespan of this game is maybe 1 playthrough, 2 with a friend, 3 max. I don't see this game's lifespan being more than a couple months.
Yeah.
So online is just kind of there to be there. And I feel the only reason why it's staying in Europe and North America is because if you want to be competitive at all in the market, in anything, it has to be multiplayer. I don't know why, but okay.
I guess for me, the big concern is I just don't want to see other games begin to follow the same trend of introducing you a full-fledged experience and then 1 or 2 years later, they get completely axed irregardless of player number. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's regardless of that. I still think it's a cause and effect.
It probably is the lack of usage in Japan specifically.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess this is one of those keep a post-it note to remind yourself it happened, but don't fret on it.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
can see that.
So, you know, I believe that leads us into the fact that Rockstar Games just released a new trailer for Red Dead Redemption 2.
That looked great.
Hype.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm a sucker for a good Western. Like, so seeing a game set up like this, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, Rockstar has a fantastic track record when it comes to these open world sandbox games. So, and I didn't get to play much of the original Red Dead Redemption. I should.
You should.
I really
it is
should.
Fucking amazing.
But from what I remember, I had a lot of fun with it. It seems like, and the trailer looks like it's going to be more of that same amazingness.
Dude, I remember when I first got the game, I thought it was just a regular open world game with cowboys, but when I played it, holy crap, you could do so much in that game. It was so fucking amazing, especially the way Red Dead Redemption ended and the follow-up after you beat the pretty much the end of the game. It was so amazing. It's pretty much Grand Theft Auto with cowboys, but with a lot more shit to do.
Yeah. Aramis, how do you feel about it?
I'm really impressed with the work that they've been putting into Red Dead Redemption 2, and you can see it. You've been able to see the work and the, effort that's gone into the project since its first unveiling.
Yeah.
It's like unquestionable. I can see, even from the preview image we're looking at for the trailer, you can tell that there have been a lot of advancements made to the Rage engine, which, for those of you who don't know, the Rage engine is a engine that was developed in-house by Rockstar to power pretty much almost all their games. I say almost because, for example, NBA 2K18, which is published by Take-Two, who owns Rockstar, does not use Rage.
Right.
But, I mean, Midnight Club used it. GTA's been using it since GTA 4.
Right.
Can we make an episode on Midnight Club and why I need more?
I mean, I feel like that's a given. I mean,
Sure.
there's things we need from Rockstar. Bully 2, one of them, but
I heard rumors that Bully 2 is actually like being discussed.
oh, it's been in development hell for 12 years now. But I mean,
Probably.
getting back to Red Dead, I mean, in this one shot, you can see that there's so many improvements, just overall, to the way that their cutscenes handle, because these are all cutscenes for the most part that we saw, and I feel like the characters are even more alive than GTA 5, and GTA 5 for Rockstar, I feel, set a high standard,
From
But-
what I've been told, yeah.
I mean, but we have cutscenes here where you're seeing a level of detail that's subtle, that hasn't really been there before in Rockstar games, not because they don't care, not because they don't try, but it's the kind of break in technology that takes time to make,
So what you're saying is we're going to review this when it comes out.
We're
yeah?
going to review this
Yeah.
when it comes out, but I have a strong feeling that you can expect the gameplay here to be even tighter than the original Red Dead, which, to be fair, it was already tight to begin with.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So
from
for it
what
to
I
get
remember.
tighter is only to get better.
Yeah.
I really, really, really only ask, can we please get some gameplay clips, Rockstar?
Soon. I'm sure soon.
I know spring 2018 is between January and the end of April for them,
Yeah.
but can we just get like a 40 seconds,
Oh, I'm sure we'll
we
get
saw
something.
glimpses of what could have been, I think, maybe
Yeah.
in-game,
The game
actual
is-
gameplay
yeah.
footage with the HUD removed.
I don't think there's much to worry about. The game is 6 to 8 months away. They're going to have to start teasing with gameplay trailers very soon. This
Well-
is just to get us, like...
They've been working on
Aware.
this since before GTA 5.
Yeah, so I'm sure we'll get those gameplay videos in very near future.
I truly believe that.
Next story is a crazy one. Middle
Oh, here
Earth
we go.
Shadow of War withdraws controversial memorial DLC. Those who don't know, there was a DLC that Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment did in memory of Michael Forgay of Monolith Productions. And they did this to raise money to support his wife and children. This wonderful person from Monolith Productions who helped in developing the game. It was executive producer passed away, and they're trying to do a pretty much a charity for to support the wife and children of that executive producer. Apparently, it said that the character will be sold for $4.99 in every purchase made. The US WBIE would donate $3.50 to the family. However, an issue happened where a publisher of the social media team exacerbated the and confusion by saying that
Exacerbated.
sorry,
There you
my
go.
English. The
It's
confusion by saying that money from the sale of the DLC International would not go to the family. That's where shit got crazy.
Yeah, this is where we fuck up.
Where
Yeah.
a lot of people didn't understand, however, is that Warner Brothers did a promotional charity drive, which a lot of people think that sounds weird. What does that mean? A promotional charity drive is essentially an event you do legally. You can't just actually host a donation drive without saying anything about it. But unfortunately, it costs money to start one. You have to pay licensing fees to be able to start one. And Warner Brothers wanted to do this, but the planet currently has 269 other territories. That would be a very expensive charity donation run to run. So, where a lot of the anger and controversy came from, honestly boils down to the fact that to avoid legal issues, Warner Brothers did not disclose the fact that all the money would be going to the family anyway, and that they would be recouping the difference between the $350 and the $5 anyway. They couldn't say any of that because if they did, all 260 something other territories that are now aware of their charity run would want them to pay a licensing fee and kind of defeat the whole purpose of a charity run.
I gotcha.
Unfortunately, because they had to be quiet, it comes off as them being shady, even though for once in their life, Warner Bros. Was trying to do a good thing.
So, very funny thing about this whole entire situation is that, ironically, what they're doing, although it is a good thing, it is also an illegal thing. They are purposefully not telling the consumers what they're buying into. You know, it's just like, hey guys, listen, we're going to give a portion of this to the family. We're not disclosing that. In fact, all of it is going to the family.
They legally couldn't.
I know, I understand.
It's
And by
really
doing
bad
so, it's called a lie. It's called a lie by omission, right? So by omitting that fact, they technically would be breaking the law in doing so. Now, they could have gone away with it scot-free if it wasn't for the fact that everyone and their mom threw a bitch fit, and now the entire fucking charity controversy is over and done with. They aren't even gonna release it, I think.
No,
Are they?
Well,
it's
I mean,
free now. It's
free
free
now.
now.
Yeah.
And in turn, Warner Brothers is actually cutting a check multiple times higher than they would have even made on the charity drive themselves.
You think so?
No, they said they're cutting the family a check themselves instead.
Yeah, I know that. I'm saying, do you think that it's gonna be higher than the actual charity run?
Well, after all the embarrassment they just dealt with in the publicity,
probably.
it would be in their good conscience to do that just to avoid further issue.
I getcha. I feel like what the biggest, I think, problem came from this is the way they packaged how they were going to, give their information.
Communication break.
Yeah.
Because, when this story first broke to me, I was very much in the majority where it felt like that Warner Brothers was about to make money off a dead man, off a cancer victim, and no one in any circumstances was happy about that prospect. And if Warner Brothers had, maybe packaged their information a little bit better, it wouldn't have been a fucking riot. But
I think really
that is
it's
not
just-
the world we live in.
I did look into it though before this information came to light about how what they were doing was technically to avoid breaking the law.
Right.
I looked up just the copyright, I'm sorry, not copyright, but I looked up the law surrounding charity drives, right?
Yes.
And that is actually stated very clearly in the U.S. law that
Sure.
you cannot state that. You can't even allude to it. So they couldn't even reword it to make it seem not as offensive. Unfortunately, their only option was disclose that and have to start paying every other country for a licensing fee for a charity drive, which I don't understand why you should have to pay that for a charity drive. It's something that doesn't even help the person doing it. They're doing it for someone else.
Yeah.
Or do this shady, this quote unquote shady maneuver and hope that people wouldn't blow it up. But unfortunately, sometimes the road to hell is paved with the best intentions, literally.
Oh man. You know what feels bad? What feels bad is that this all came about, well not all came about, but rather this all kind of exploded off of that one person's misguided tweet.
Yep,
if he just knew how to PR a little bit better, then this wouldn't have happened and they would have gotten away scot-free.
So what we learned from here is that PR is everything.
Yes it is. Welcome to No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Making a review on that too.
Here's another lesson for anybody who wants to do PR. Sometimes the best response to any anger is silence. Sometimes it's okay to take a moment to fact check before you immediately spew something out because you think you're saving face.
Maybe it's a good idea to actually talk to your higher-ups about what the hell you should be saying instead of just going on the official Twitter.
That's what I was saying. Take a moment to ask your higher-ups. This was a simple communications breakdown, which, to be honest, let's all be fair here and say that the guy probably got fired for.
Oh, yeah, probably.
All right.
That's a pretty big blunder.
True. All right, silver lining to this story, though. Shadow of War looks pretty fucking dope, though, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
I can't wait. It's going to be a fun game.
And pretty much those who have, paid for it will get
are able to get a refund.
Will get refunded, and
Yep.
Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment will make a donation directly to the family.
I can't wait till for this game to come out to universal acclaim. We all buy it, and we can just put this stupid chapter in 2017 behind us.
I personally think that this controversy isn't a big controversy because now that everybody
That's what
knows
I'm
the
saying.
facts,
Yeah.
I still see people that are upset, and it's like, no. You've already lost the privilege to be upset. It's not a right to be upset.
Yes,
it
is.
Well, I mean,
sure it is.
Yeah.
When I say
you are entitled
okay,
to
I'm
your
sorry. I should
emotions.
rephrase
Yeah.
that. I mean, you've lost the privilege in the sense of now that you know all this. I mean, you can't continue to be angry, but it's silly now.
I mean, yeah.
We gotta let it go because they've already apologized. They've already came out and cleared everything up. They even re-released the trailer for the character, by the way.
Yeah.
They re-released it and apologized in the description because, let's be honest, you can't fit a 3-page apology letter on the end of a video.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I think
it's
at this
whatever.
point, the
Yeah.
game's coming out. Can we not just be happy that the game is happening, period?
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. I think we
say-
should just look
yeah.
forward to it. I think personally the game's going to be good, even despite the microtransaction, controversy.
That's gonna be another video.
That's a whole
Yeah.
different topic
We'll
I don't
just
want to get into.
Yeah, let's just dust
So-
this whole thing off and move on with our lives.
On our next topic, Alex, what's going on?
Oh yeah. For anyone who's been following the anime Kimono Friends this year, boy, do I have some news for you.
RIP season 4.
Oh
Kidding.
Jesus.
What's season 4? Question mark.
What show?
Yeah.
What show?
What production company?
Well, for anyone who has been following the show, Kimono Friends, basically, if you're a fan, you've lost out. The director has officially walked out and taken a good portion of the staff with it. And yeah, it's a lot of people are not thinking this is gonna end up well. Someone want to elaborate for me? Because I didn't actually dig up this article.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Don't even worry, man. So, there's this thing in Japan, right, where being fired could literally put you out of the job for who knows how long. So, what happened was this director made an episode that wasn't with the approval of the higher up execs at, I believe the company is called Kodokawa.
Yeah.
Yes, Kodokawa.
Kodokawa.
Kodokawa. Say that 5 times fast.
Kadokawa. There we go. Kadokawa.
Yeah, Kadokawa. So they didn't necessarily approve of this, and they spoke to him and was just like, "All right, man. Here's how this is gonna go down. You walk willfully. You just pack up your shit and go, or we fire you, and that is gonna be the biggest smear on your resume for the rest of your life, and have a fun time getting a new job." So he's just like, "All right, shit, whatever, fine. I guess that's just the way it is, huh?" He leaves, and the entire staff is just like, "Wait, what? What? This was the guy that made our series popular. This is the guy that made this show a success."
Just out of curiosity, of the four of us, has anyone here actually seen Kimono Friends?
I know of it. I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I've never seen
I
it
haven't
either.
seen it either.
I've
But
watched a couple episodes.
I've never heard anything
Alright.
bad about it.
So you're kind of our main go-to on this.
Ooh.
First off, was it good?
Yes.
All right, well,
Actually,
that's
yeah.
good. That's
I
amazing.
enjoyed it. I was planning to
Yeah.
actually, because I'm watching so many other things, I'm trying to
Mhm.
catch up on some older things that I've put off for a long time now.
I got you.
I was actually planning to finish this by the end of October.
I got you.
Somewhere
See,
in that line, I was
yeah.
going to finish it.
Mostly, I don't have much of a personal stake in this show myself. It just seems unfortunate that people seem to really, really like it, and now it seems like the plug is about to get pulled on one of their favorite shows.
Oh, it's
and
not
that's-
about to. It's already been pulled.
Yeah, that plug got pulled by not the director, not the staff, by Kadokawa themselves. And
Right.
honestly, Kadokawa, if you're listening, or if anybody
Yes,
knows
I'm sure he's
anybody
listening
that,
to this.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
no. Honestly, for the fans of the show, you should just be more mad at the studio for causing this drama than the staff leaving.
Honestly, what I feel is like, apparently, from what I've been hearing, I haven't watched the episode myself, but apparently it was received extremely well. The episode itself was very popular. The audience loved it. It was fan service, basically. And I'm not talking about the anime titties kind of fan service. No, I'm talking about
actual
fan service. They wanted this, they got it, and they received it to high acclaim.
So their thank you to the director is you're fired because you did a good thing and made money, and it wasn't on my merit. You're fired.
Exactly.
Welcome to the production industry. It happens in Hollywood all the time.
Oh no, it's disgusting the fact that it's still a thing.
Beep.
You can edit that out. You got this. Have fun, bro.
That'll be easy. Anyway, but yeah.
So, going back to it, is that the pizza?
No.
It's not. Didn't I call them or something?
I think they charged your card and just didn't even. We need to call them after this. All right.
Yeah,
all right.
No. We ain't finished. Go back, boy. You're cutting all of this. Have fun.
You can jump to the next one. I'll cut.
But, all right.
So wrapping up the thoughts on that.
Yeah. I can't remember where I left off. Help me.
We were talking about the fact that everybody walked out.
Oh yeah, right.
And that the plug has definitely been pulled on the show.
So what I wanted to talk about, was the treatment of animators and staff in Japan is piss poor. Absolutely garbage. Horrendous shit. This is minimum wage. You would be making the same amount of money as a animator in Japan as you would be making as
McDonald's.
Oh yeah. You'd probably be making more. In fact, you probably would be making more if you were to translate yen to dollars. Unfortunately. So, although I hate the fact that the series is basically canceled because the staff walked out because they were just like, I'm not going to fly with this is bullshit.
Rip.
Unfortunately, I'm actually a little bit happy because this is the first step to getting, like, anonymity in terms of workers' rights. They're just like, listen, you think we need you? No, we'll just leave.
Yeah, I mean, like I brought up earlier when we were discussing the news, I mean, the one thing that a lot of these companies, and I think even viewers don't ever consider, I've told people, but what if every animator in Japan just walked out and refused to work? And people told me, but that's lunacy. They'll just export all of it. I laughed. I know people who work at these B studios. One of them in particular, he works for a B studio for Hasbro, right? Mm-hmm. I can tell you right now, with the 3 shows that one studio does, they're already at capacity. South Korea, China, and the Philippines actually could not sustain the entire industry of anime for Japan. They would laugh and tell them no. That would literally be suicide. They need their workers alive even if they're not paid well. Yeah. I mean, the sadder part that I think you need to look at is when your animators are being treated so bad that it's actually a better option to become an animator at Ubisoft.
Oh boy.
Ubisoft may not make amazing games, but you know something? At least the people that work there don't want to kill themselves. They actually like going to work. As an animator...
Well, the guy that worked on Rayman Raving Rabbids might. Just a little bit.
Come on, dude.
I know,
that is too soon. It came out, I don't even know how many years ago, but still too soon.
2006.
2006?
10 years ago?
Yeah,
video game Minions.
Over 11 years ago. Minions before it was cool. But look, I firmly believe animators need to continue to do what just happened to this show. Even if it ends up in 12 shows that we all like dying, I would rather have 12 dead shows than not have any anime, period.
Yeah.
Because what happens if everybody just stops wanting to do anime in Japan? Because America and the rest of the world isn't looking to step up and fill that gap. That's a really, really tall... Yeah, but that's a tall glass to fill.
No, I know.
If the whole glass is empty.
Looks at Neo Yukio.
Looks at Avatar: The Last Airbender. Fuck you, fight me. That's an anime.
Wait a minute.
We can talk about that.
You know what? It still doesn't. It has nothing on Corey in the house.
Not funny. That means that leave.
No means dead.
I hate you. You suck.
That being said, yes. I agree. I would rather have a couple dead anime series than I would a bunch of dead animators. So, yeah, let's agree that...
Let's just hope for the best.
Definitely.
I do hope for the best.
So, moving on.
This made me laugh. It's good and bad at so many levels.
We'll see where we stand on this. Want to just tell him what it is?
My boy J.J. Abrams wants to turn an acclaimed sci-fi anime called Your Name into a live-action film.
I'm gonna stop you right there. We gotta stop calling it a sci-fi anime. There is no science in this show, in that movie whatsoever.
Too fucking late!
Are
Because
they only
once
calling
Jake...
it sci-fi because of the time traveling?
Yes,
That's not sci-fi.
Be-
Sort of, but it's being brought through by more magical means.
it's a theme of sci-fi, but it's not sci-fi.
Too fucking late, because the only time J.J. Abrams directs a fucking movie is if he thinks it has sci-fi. Look at his fucking filmography. It's always been sci-fi. So when he saw that, he's like, I see
love all this
sci-fi
fake
elements.
outright. I love all this outrage over just the term sci-fi. It's not that big a deal.
It's,
That's
we not
JJ.
get-
That's how JJ Abrams works. He only goes for it if he sees sci-fi. And when he saw this movie, he's like, "This is sci-fi. This has to be sci-fi." So he went for it, and it gets better. My homeboy, Bad Robot, who got involved in making other good movies, and fucking Paramount will get involved with it with Toho anime.
Yo, I'm
Okay.
just waiting.
First
Hold on.
off,
stop, guys.
Enunciate. Second, what?
This is
Yes,
more
Russ.
important, right? I heard Paramount will work with Toho, and I thought of one thing and one thing only.
What's that?
Your Name with Godzilla.
Oh.
Your name is Godzilla.
All right, getting right
The main girl is just Godzilla now.
Yes.
Yeah.
getting right to it.
But wait.
Before anyone says anything, this is a great idea.
No.
I mean, I'm a little concerned because this anime literally came out last year, and that's a little concerning.
It's
but
a little too soon to
Yeah,
be announcing this. I think it would have been better had they just started working on the film and like 2 years later, hey
No,
guys, in
no,
another
thing
year we
is-
got a movie coming out.
Yeah.
It's called Your Name. Nani?
No,
Yes,
thing is,
live
This
action.
movie came to America to Western release a few months ago.
yeah, I saw it earlier this year, and I cried like a little boy,
Yeah.
like a
Dude,
little bitch boy.
Dude, me and my girlfriend watched it.
It was
We
good.
loved it so much. The story and plot was fantastic. But J.J. Abrams, what the actual
Bro, I'm
Why
fuck?
is your outrage at that? J.J. Abrams is clearly a very smart and competent director.
Why are you
Sometimes.
look?
Yo,
He makes
Sometimes.
he's had a
dying over here.
couple
You
of
okay?
blunders, but a lot of those blunders is because of pressure from up top, not even him.
Yeah.
Look, man, all I ask for is the lens flares. They better be lit.
Oh my god. Can
Oh
I
my
just
God.
say very quickly that
Yes.
I am not happy about this.
Why
I
are you
am-
not happy
You're
about
never
I am-
happy about this.
Wait, I'm only talking about this once though. Well, yeah, I guess in
Never
that case, yeah, I am never happy about this.
Are you trying to imply it's because it's an anime being adapted into live action?
Yes.
Well, I mean, yeah, that too, but that's besides the point. Actually, that's debatable.
Dude, that is the point. Your trigger factor is the fact that it's anime becoming
No,
live
I'm
action.
just tired of. I'm just tired of like localizations of other series.
I'm okay with that.
I'm just.
Yeah.
I feel that it's oversaturating the market at this point. Like I can name 9 different series off the top of my head that's just been like, okay, we're gonna localize that, and that, and that, and this
Yeah,
isn't
but
even
they
an
keep-
America thing.
I was
This is
about to
just
say,
in
they-
general.
but-
I'm just tired of it. Give me some originality.
Before I fire back at you, Ferdy, you seem like you have a point. Is it more screaming about J.J. Abrams?
I
Because
swear
I
to
swear to God.
It's not more streaming J.J. Abrams.
All right.
The thing is, we've seen it time and time and time again. These Western directors trying to create a good Western adaptation of an anime series or an anime movie, and sometimes it shoots and wins, but most of the time it shoots and fails.
No.
But Hollywood
Wait, it
will
won?
never.
When did
they-
it win?
Never.
What? The
When
thing
did
is,
they
once.
shoot it?
Once.
Oh,
What movie was that?
what was that?
Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, I can give you
I
that.
can
Okay,
give
no,
you-
I will.
Okay.
I will give you that.
Edge
all
of
they did is
Tomorrow
kill
is
his
the
leg.
greatest Western adaptation of a Japanese source material I've seen
That was lit.
in the 21st century. Hell yeah.
So the thing is, Hollywood being the studio and the corporation that it is, it will never stop on trying and keep doing what it's doing to keep shooting and shooting until it finally figures it out.
Counterpoint.
Objection.
Yes, objection.
Sure.
This is the perfect movie for that. This movie, I mean, don't get me wrong. This movie, one of its biggest selling points is how beautiful the animation is.
Yes.
Fact.
But nothing about this movie is inherently tied into Japanese culture or a story that couldn't be told outside of animation. It is about a country girl and a city boy in two different timelines. Spoilers, by the way. And that is
late.
yeah, right. That's essentially all there is to it. It's not.
That is so easy to shoot. We could start shooting our own adaptation of your name right now.
They would have to try to fuck this up.
Can we just...
Okay.
Can I counterpoint even that?
Yeah.
A counter to your counterpoint? You see, I thought that Death Note would be the easiest movie adaptation ever. It's so streamlined, and it completely ignores the Japanese societal effect on teenagers. I was just like, this is easy peasy.
Hold it.
How did that...
We will get to that later.
Fight me.
We will get to that. But for now,
The fight will happen after the recording. Just calm
nothing
down.
about.
Get the
I want
gloves.
to run on the
ASAP.
I am a little morally opposed to the idea that this movie is already in production less than a year after the film itself came out, the original. That's a little weird to me. That being said, I have nothing against this movie being adapted. I think if anything has a chance for success, it's this.
I mean,
and Hollywood needs to keep trying, because the second we figure out the proper formula for this adaptation, we all win.
Exactly as I was saying. Yeah. Hollywood will always keep trying because they want to figure this shit out.
Yes.
Well, I mean, the thing is, Hollywood, at this point, the only reason Hollywood is still relevant, and a lot of people never think about this, except those who just, watch what they do.
XD casuals.
Yeah. Beyond the casuals, right? The only reason they succeed at all is everything they do is based on formulas. Yes, they actually mathematically figure out how to make a balanced and enjoyable film. That's why you'll see things that feel kind of like A happens, then B, oh, but here's the twist. There's something in the middle that we're going to reference later.
You haven't watched a lot of Indian art house films, have you?
So I want to watch.
So what you're
Some of them are fucking insane, and it's
what
great.
You're telling me, right, is that Hollywood has quote unquote perfected film, just the same way how the music industry has perfected pop.
Well, no, they perfected the ability to sell you a product.
They just can't make the product enjoyable.
Well, I mean, the whole point is that it's supposed to look enjoyable, not that it actually is. What did you think this was? Entertainment business?
Oh, no.
Now give me your money.
Running right again,
No,
kind of
seriously,
trying to
give me your
wrap up
money.
on this story.
It's
too. Sorry, do you want to go first, Ferdy?
I just say I hope J.J. Abrams succeeds in this, because if it flops, it might be another horrible Western Death Note film.
They're not gonna give up until they figure it out.
Quick wrapping up thought before we move on to the next one. I think it's too early to start really forming any opinions on this. It's more, we'll keep an eye on this and we'll get to it.
It probably doesn't even have a release date till 2019, so we shouldn't even be worried about this till the end of 2018.
Yeah. For now, let's just leave it in the dirt and move on, and we'll come back to it once we need to raise our eyebrows again.
Who knows? There'll probably be a better sci-fi film than Star Wars. So let's move on.
Well, that's a low bar.
I mean,
sorry.
That's kind of an easy bar.
Baby's first sci-fi film.
Baby's first, not imitating George
sci-fi.
Lucas.
Oh,
Science fantasy. Anyway,
whatever.
There's a difference.
Fight me.
New game coming out
next
spring
story.
2018
from Software, Dark Anime.
Oh, Dark Anime. It's the
Anime
video
Souls.
game called Code Vein. It's pretty much a anime version of Dark Souls with steampunk vampires.
Don't forget my Hatsumiku final boss with my Russian lolly partner.
Pretty much is like I said, anime with Dark Souls elements, vampires, steampunk style universe. Pretty cool game. Has the hard difficulty of Dark Souls. if you're a huge fan of Dark Souls or any of the Souls series or even a Bloodborne, you might like this one because it's made by the same people. I like how because of Dark Souls, it's now branching off into other great games that follow.
This isn't made by From Software.
It is made by From Software.
It's made by the
Actually,
publisher.
it's made by the God Eater development team that made the game. That's not From Software.
My apologies.
It's Bandai Namco.
It's the publisher.
Yeah,
Publisher.
That's actually like their selling point is just like from the publishers of the Soul series. I'm not even joking. I swear to God, that's literally how they announced the series.
But as I was saying, I like how Dark Souls pretty much started generating this whole idea of creating those hard difficulty games.
Wait, what?
Yes,
Ninja Gaiden? Hello?
Ninja Gaiden. Yes.
Yeah, but you said Dark Souls. You know what? There's so many games to accredit. Why don't we just get to the point that it's just Dark Souls meets anime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What vampires, fantasy elements, and a little bit of sci-fi and steampunk.
Post-apocalyptic fucking world too.
And an open
Cool.
world?
I think it's an open world.
Probably not.
It is.
I'm sure that's
believe
fine.
So.
I'm probably not going to play it, but I'll look at all the cool concept
I mean,
art.
it's a Souls. If it's a Souls-like game, let's be honest. Open world really means open hub world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying that as an insult because it makes the game more streamlined. Honestly, to not feel like you're just gonna dive no matter what direction you go.
Honestly, if I'm being 100% true to myself, I feel that although I would enjoy a full map of, let's say, Norlondo and the entire world of the Soul series, I just feel that it would take away a lot from the Soul series as well. It's good because there's backtracking, and when you go back, you always find something new.
Sure.
But if it's an open world mess, it's just like, okay.
There's no such thing as backtracking. There's only backtracking to go to the next mission.
Yeah. And that's annoying. That's tedious in my opinion. I don't like it.
Fetch quest.
It's alright.
Fuck you and your fetch quest. Fight.
It's alright if you
know what?
if you develop it pretty well.
Bully had the best fetch quest. I don't care what you say.
Okay, I'll give you
I
that.
mean, if you guys ever played Neo, it had a pretty good fetch quest. Being the fact that it's Dark Souls, but in
Japanese,
medieval Japan setting.
Look at my glorious Nippon steed.
No, man, I went for the Naginata. Fuck that sword.
Wait, that doesn't change what I said. Glorious Nippon steel. I was just holding something. That could have been anything, my dude. My imaginary
you were imitating
two-handed.
a sword, though.
Was it? It was two-handed, and I had it like this. I wasn't like this.
Look at all these visual jokes that these guys are going to see in this podcast.
Obviously.
Great.
Thanks, editor.
Yeah, go fuck yourself and find a camera then.
Look at an entire segment that's getting snipped from this fucking thing.
Yeah,
No, do not cut this out. This is A1.
I think we need to.
You know
I definitely think we need to move
I
on.
did
now.
forget about Ninja Gaiden though, being the
yeah.
fact that it had a difficulty setting.
Moving on to the next segment.
So I mean, this is kind of a rumor. So
Just quick thing.
Going over it very quickly because there's not much more to talk about. But we could be seeing two back ports of titles that we all love, Vanquish and Bayonetta. Vanquish being the hit game that came out in 2010 that everybody forgot about because
was it that long ago?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It came out a month before Skate 3. I'm gonna be honest with you, that's probably what buried it.
Damn.
I remember really liking the demo, but I never bought it.
I bought it. That game was badass, dude.
It seemed
story,
fun.
gameplay, it was all amazing. Again, made by the same people that created Bayonetta, so I loved it.
But yeah, I'm down.
Wait,
I think, long story short,
Platinum just made it.
if these end up on PS4,
Well, I mean,
never a bad thing.
I can tell you right now what you could expect from these ports, just going by the PC ports, because these are going to be ports of the PC port, which run infinitely better than the console versions. They came out because both games were last gen remasters. You're going to most likely see a 1080p presentation, 60 frames a second lock. I mean, these games were not demanding because they were advanced. They were demanding because they came out more towards the earlier half of each system's lifespan where things just weren't figured out quite yet.
Right.
So, I mean, honestly, you're going to have a really good third-person shooter with first-person shooting elements, and then your Bayonetta. I mean, if I have to explain Bayonetta...
At that point, play Bayonetta 2, but...
Yeah, play Bayonetta 2 on the Wii U if you have one, or play Bayonetta on your PS3 360.
Yeah.
Somewhere in your closet, you gotta have one.
If this is real and not just a rumor, awesome. If it's just a rumor, well, we have dozens of other remasters that we could probably get through, and they're all pretty much on point. So, nothing to worry about.
Then they fleek.
True tragedies.
I don't doubt it that it's gonna happen. So, moving on to our next segment.
This shit is dumb.
So, Pokemon Ultra
Ultra Sun.
Sun and Ultra Moon.
You almost forgot that right there.
I mean, is there a point to add the
Wrong
nomencla-
game.
Pokemon Extra.
You know what? Pokemon Sun and Moon 2 DX Director's Cut Edition.
Did we?
Extra.
Featuring Dante from
Is it
Devil May
conf-
Cry.
And Knuckles.
Oh,
Yeah.
and Knuckles.
Is it?
And if you buy the DLC, you get Shadow the Hedgehog.
Wow.
Is it confirmed that this is a new story?
They're
Probably.
saying it's a new story rethreading the islands, and it's a new take on your journey.
Wait.
I don't understand.
What do you
because-
mean retake to your journey? What?
Well, they're rethreading some aspects of the story, but telling a whole new story. So there might be sections that are eerily similar in the sense of, oh, I went through this area before, but you're not going through that area for the event you think.
Mhm.
That's I can't count it as a new story because it's a rethread. It's a rethread.
So they're just retconning the first half.
Well,
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
no. They're
Moon.
saying
No.
they're saying this is separate and has nothing to do with anything that happened the first time around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there's
It's a
no
rebuild.
continuity. There's no context to why, other than it's happening. So that already left me very much on the fence because
Remember in the glory days where when a Pokemon generation started, there would be a director's cut that just
the
combined
third game.
Yeah, the third game that just combined the two.
Where
man,
are
I
those?
remember.
Where art thou third game?
Hell, I would even, if you even wanted to, I would gladly pay $20 more for a director's version for like a Pokemon. Call it fucking Pokemon Twilight.
You know,
Wasn't
you
it
know
like
what?
Stars or something? That was the like.
That's the
fan
Switch.
name.
That's the Switch game.
Oh really?
That is his project name officially, Pokemon Stars.
Fucking murder me.
Well, that's all we know about it.
Sun
And
and Moon and
I mean,
Stars.
for me, I agree with you. I mean,
Yeah.
personally, this
Sparkles
game
and
would have
sunlight.
made more sense if it was just an expansion pack for people who bought the first game.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be a full-blown game other than to just double dip. You can't tell me that it's not double dipping. It is.
I mean,
Yo, I
it's gonna
love
be-
double dipping my chips, dude.
It'll be good.
If it's my chips in my bowl, yeah, but I'm not gonna double dip on at the host's party.
It'll be
Ah,
good
you're
for all
right,
the
that's
people who
pretty fucked.
didn't bother to buy Sun and Moon in the first place.
I
I-
suppose. Yeah.
I mean, this is the only. For me, I think personally, if you've already played the first game,
Mhm.
there is very little you're gonna get out of this game. That
I'm sure.
from what I'm seeing, I feel like you're not gonna get a lot. But for those who pre-order, they're doing something called the starter pack now, which they're gonna give you 12 revives to restore any Pokemon, obviously, a keychain featuring the cover Pokemon, and that's it for the basic pre-order.
Still,
If
cool
you
little
buy-
things.
Then you got the Veterans Pack, which is the Veterans Trainers Dual Pack. Hate the name so far. You get 2 steelbook cases with both games for $80, and you get 16 art cards in a download code for 200 Pokeballs.
Which is important. That means you might never actually have to buy Pokeballs throughout this
You're
whole game.
probably never going to buy Pokeballs at that point. I mean,
Especially considering how, like, the capture rate is nothing like it used to be back in the day.
Well,
capture
let's
rates in the
let's
past
also-
are bullshit.
let's look at the fact that most people already know what they're going to build a team on.
I don't know about that. Remember,
Again,
this is a kids game.
Most fans are already going to know.
Longtime fans are,
most
but-
kids probably still won't use up all 200 Pokeballs.
No, they won't.
They'll probably just throw it at everything they see, though. Let's be honest, because
Yeah,
they're
but-
thinking, "Oh, triple
Yeah,
evolution."
But they'll find a way to build their own unique team, in my opinion. And I think it's a cool concept to encourage that. But at the same time, it's all right. I mean, right now the big promo that they're also doing is those who pre-order the game or buy the game before January 10th of next year, you're gonna receive a rock ruff that will evolve into the new dust form Lycanroc as a free gift.
Which is
On
neat.
top of that, anyone who's already bought gold or silver from the 3DS shop are going to receive Celebi, which I'm going to call it right now. That's going to make people... Hi? You
Just walked it. She just walked it.
I mean, the face. I was like,
Alright.
oh, hi.
Just rewind and
Yeah.
go on that rant one more time.
So I mean, right now the big thing they're doing for the game, on top of everything we've discussed, is those who pre-order the game or buy the game before January 10th of next year are going to receive a Rockruff that evolves into its new dust form, Lycanroc, as a free gift. And those who already bought Pokemon Gold or Silver from the 3DS eShop are going to get Celebi, which I'm already going to call it. I think people are going to get annoyed because what if I don't want to buy Gold and Silver because I already have Gold or Silver? I'd rather just get Celebi.
Well,
Celebi is a
that's
classic
not-
they never brought back ever, though.
That's not something to be mad about, though. It seems more like that's rewarding fans who wanted to go take a trip down memory lane. They're rewarding you for buying into nostalgia, which I think is an effective marketing strategy. And if you don't want to, fuck it, don't get Celebi.
I mean, it's not exactly meta either. It doesn't have an Uber. It isn't an Uber, rather.
Yeah.
It is not an Uber.
I
It
mean,
doesn't
as
have a
far as
megaphone.
we know right now.
Unless they fucking, like, buff the stats to shit, I don't think it's gonna be an Uber.
All I'm gonna say that it's Nintendo. You know that they're not gonna talk about things until it either is really close to the release date or it's already out.
Mhm.
So we'll probably find out what's going on with Celebi because they've already been redoing Pokemon over the last couple of games to fit the new format that they're doing. So
I mean, the moment I hear about a Celebi even coming close to contending to a Mega Garchomp, that is the moment that I will question the direction of Nintendo as an entire company. I'm sure it's not that
or
bad.
just buy the season pass. Come on.
Hey, yeah, just buy the season pass. What are you doing? Buy the season pass. Support the industry.
All right. In all seriousness, guys, there's no season pass confirmed yet.
Yo,
we
please,
don't know if there's
Stop.
gonna be one.
Stop.
Nintendo doesn't know the concept of a season pass.
Remember, they're Japanese. They don't do season pass. Remember the last time Square Enix
They
tried
did
to
that
do a
with
season
Fire
pass?
Emblem and Legend of Zelda.
Stop it, dude.
Oh, yeah, they did. All right.
Wait, they did?
They
Yeah,
did.
they did.
They totally did.
Did.
Let me shut the fuck up. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm going to admit that.
Okay.
I thought that they only
Breath
had
of
DLC
the
for it.
Wild and Shadow of Valencia. Look it up. Anyway.
I don't have a Switch. I really should get one.
Same.
And now we go to the second half of the episode where we review usually an anime video game. But for this one, we're going to keep it special. You see, we're going to review a live action adaptation of either an anime or a video game. This time it's going to be an anime. And this live action is something that we all hoped it will turn out to be good since it was made by... Actually, no, not made, but published and made by a company by the name of Netflix.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a real obscure reference for them.
Triggered.
And the thing
You
is,
ever heard of that newfangled technology called Netflix?
Y'all can stay off my damn yard.
now the thing is, I always love Netflix, always trying to be innovative, always trying to make new shows, even financing anime to appear on their streaming site. But when I saw this movie, them making this movie, I thought, this has to be good. This has to be good.
Did you, though?
I did.
You really?
I really wanted it to be good.
Dude, it's Netflix. I'm not trying
Hold
to
on,
be
guys.
mean.
Wait. You guys are beating around the bush, like, incredibly hard. Could you at least name drop the movie's title?
Star Wars Rogue.
Yeah, of course.
Fuck Star Wars Rogue One.
Based on a true story.
Why am
by
I
Michael
saying that? I
Bay.
actually like that movie. No, yeah, it's the Death Note movie. We're
Yeah.
reviewing the Death Note movie.
Yeah, we're
You're supposed to be the chosen one.
Oh my god, you guys started the Star Wars trend, and now this guy's making references. Next thing you know, I'm gonna be using the Force to fling you guys across the room.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, Chris.
So pretty much, me and the guy decided individually watch the Death Note movie.
Oh, did we ever?
Twice.
Yeah,
Twice.
twice. And we have some very concerns about it. Some good, some bad, but mostly bad.
We should probably go around the table. Why don't you start, Chris?
All right, I guess.
Or-
Shit,
or
put me on the
Karen.
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Karen, if you want to call yourself.
Karen?
Karen.
I didn't know it was a female now. Jeez.
Come on, Katie, let's go.
Enough with the powder in your nose.
Oh my god. Here we go.
You didn't tell me we had cocaine in the studio.
We do now.
Damn.
Shit. You guys aren't sharing what the hell? Well, where do I even start with this movie? Maybe I should start with how I found out about it and just the journey of disappointment that I went through when it came to this movie. So,
Sit down and let me tell you a tale.
oh yeah. So I heard about this movie through a friend of a friend, and me personally, I was never I never really cared for the whole entire stigma behind anime getting live adaptations. I thought, if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. I don't instantly assume it's instantly shit because it's getting adapted. Maybe
It's an awkward position to assume, though, right?
Man.
Like, me too.
I'm trying my
I'm the
hardest
same
to
this
be
way,
like,
but like you have to relate
optimistic.
to like it's like, oh, this this thing that they try hundreds of times and always fails. This one could be the right one. This is the time where we get the good one. And every single time, it's an awkward position to always take.
I know,
just
but you
feel like
have to, man. You can't just smack it into the ground just like before it comes out, you know?
Yeah, of course, I get that.
I just think it's a really bad catch-22 mentality to get stuck in, where if anime gets adapted, then either I think it's gonna be the one or it's shit. But
I
it's
just
such a
wanna go neutral.
It's like a feedback loop of the people who want this to succeed because they just want to see these movies do good, are constantly getting crapped on by everybody going, but it's bad by default. But why is it bad? It's just bad by default.
Yeah,
Like,
there's.
hold on there, EA.
Yeah, there does seem to be a bit of a mindset in the community where the second they hear that a studio is trying to adapt an anime, it's just like it's already destined to fail. You hear words thrown around like it can't be, it's unadaptable and whitewashing and
Oh my God.
racism. And
Don't even get me started on that bullshit.
Sometimes-
man,
Trigger.
literally triggered. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm
I didn't
kidding.
know Trigger was getting a live action adaptation. Which one?
All of them.
I would kill to see a live action Kill la Kill.
Oh, okay. You and your skimpy no. You know.
I
no.
like my porn, okay, Chris?
If you want Kill la Kill, can we get Neon Genesis, like the reboot
Actually,
series,
no.
live action?
Oh, no.
No, I don't want to watch a depressed kid be depressed in person.
but we-
If I wanted that, I could just look in the mirror. Fuck.
We can even end it like the original one. They ran out of budget, so they just have still screenshots and everything.
All right,
I'm sorry.
back to the point, though.
Tell us about you.
Yeah.
Tell us about you. in
Back
depth.
to me.
How
So,
does this make you feel?
Where did the
touch
movie
you?
touch you?
in my penis. No. I'm
No,
just kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, it
cool.
felt so good. I was just like, ooh, me. No, I'm just kidding. But going back to it. So continuing, you actually touched on it, the whole entire whitewashing thing. So I found out a couple of the actors that are going to be playing parts in the movie, and I didn't pay it any mind. I didn't give a shit. The way
I'm
I
with you
see
on that. Yeah.
the way I see actors playing roles that are being adapted, it's just, do you portray the character well? Yes, no. I'm not necessarily rooting for you because of your aesthetic. I'm rooting for you because of your talent. Are you good? Can you portray the personality? Can you portray the intrigue, the just the quirk? If
Yeah.
you can portray it correctly, then good shit. If you can't, then please get the fuck out. And
It's-
director, I hate you for casting this person.
That's interesting because I also didn't mind it, but for very different reasons. Like for you, it's the characters and seeing how you adapt them. For me, it was: is there a notebook that kills people? Is there a death god involved? And does it fall into the hands of a student? And does he use it to kill people? If
So
it checked
basically
all those
just, like,
boxes,
general-
I was fine.
Uh-huh.
And I just needed it to be a decent movie. The directors never really made it seem like they were going to adapt the story from the anime and manga note for note.
Yeah.
It looked like they were trying to transpose it to an American setting, which
That's what they actually stated when they came out about
exactly.
it. Yeah.
So for a show that was inherently rooted in Japanese culture, I love moving it to the West and seeing how Americans would handle a notebook that kills people. I thought that was an interesting concept.
I think.
Speaking of that, hold on, I need to touch on that because there was something that really pissed me off, right?
All right.
So we have this amazing, glorious demigod sociopath that is Light Yagami. And then we get the American who is basically just pussy whipped the entire movie and doesn't really do much because of his own desire to do it. I think he makes maybe 2 or 3 killings of his own decision without being influenced by anyone else.
Okay, I have a counter argument for that, but I can see that Aramis has something to say, so please, you haven't gotten a chance to speak your mind.
I mean, honestly, I see your point, but I want to think about the other half of the coin. The thing about Light Turner versus Light Yagami is that Light Turner is not sociopathic Light Yagami usually becomes by the end. From what I've been told, either in the anime and the manga, he just kind of goes mad.
I mean, he was kind of always like that. Let's be
honest. He's a sociopath straight out the gate in the anime.
Light Turner is just a kid who lost his mom, who hasn't been doing well in life, and mentally is not in a great headspace. He gets this notebook, and he looks at it as a tool for justice, and then everybody freaks out because how dare he or someone, decide who lives and dies. I think the reason why he comes off as pussy whipped isn't so much that he's pussy whipped, but more like he's morally conflicted. He doesn't want to just indiscriminately kill people for the fun of it.
You don't understand what I'm saying. When I said pussy whipped,
but
that's what I'm getting at. He's easily manipulated, incredibly. He is killing people so that he can get laid. My
counterpoint. First off, my counterpoint to that is what high school boy wouldn't?
Fuck you! That is ridiculous.
Shut up,
I have a weapon of mass destruction.
One of us would absolutely kill to get laid.
Oh, literally.
If we were in high school and we were placed in that position, absolutely.
So you're telling me you have what is essentially like multiple nukes, and you're just gonna be like, hey babe, I got this thing that is basically the ultimate war crime in all of existence since the dawn of time, and I'm just gonna tell you because I want to get in your pants. Bitch, are you kidding me?
That is exactly what a high schooler would do. That's how you pick up a chick.
Yes. That is exactly the point.
And what I find interesting about this, and this is why I didn't mind their version of Light, is that he's still, for the most part, he's a book-smart kid. He's intelligent. He's not very wise. Like, he's clearly still kind of a stupid teenager.
Yeah.
And he is easily manipulated.
But that's a teenager.
But the movie is not like the anime, where the anime was about what happens if you give a killer notebook to a sociopath. It's, what if we give the notebook to a normal high school teenager and slowly watch him deteriorate into a sociopath? Now, grant me,
see that it's not slow; it's abrupt.
No, of course, that's actually problems
we're going to talk
with the
about that
movie.
later. We're going to talk
but
about
like
that.
adaptation-wise, I totally understand what they were trying to do.
I feel that they could have achieved it if they just had more time.
Or maybe if they turned it into a series.
That's
I actually thought it was going to be a series, and I was a little disappointed when I found out it's a movie because I started to research more into Death Note as I started watching the movie, and I realized that the amount of compression in the film is almost painful.
I completely understand where you're coming from because you mentioned to me before you want to let the audience know you have never watched Death Note. You never watched the anime.
Never read it. Never watched the manga, Japanese live action.
Never seen the live action. Nor the TV shows they did.
That's probably a fair thing to go with on our background.
Holy shit, we got new friend.
Yes, but the reason why I didn't watch it is that I suffer from this thing called I don't want people to completely jam fist the newest thing on me and tell me that I have to watch it. That automatically, on principle, makes me go, sure, I'll watch it. Never watches it. That's exactly why I didn't do it.
You had 9 years, fam.
Well, okay, middle school and high school, everybody kept telling me to watch it.
True, it does speak a lot to that.
By that point, I just didn't even want to hear the word Death Note. I literally, extrapolated it from my mind.
That's fair.
So, I'm coming into it now, and I actually regret not watching it. But at the same time,
I
You shouldn't
understand
force
where you're-
people. You
No, of
shouldn't.
course
I understand where you're coming from. Middle school and high school, everybody kept trying to force you to read Harry Potter, and I said, "Fuck off."
It's
Yeah.
good, but it's not. There are many things
I'm
that are
sure
good.
it's a great story, but the fact that I'm being forced and even threatened. I literally got
Oh my
threatened.
god.
I can only imagine it. You silly mudblood. You will watch it, or I will end you.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. I fell into Death Note kind of a natural way. Like, I didn't have internet as a kid, and I was kind of just a dumb kid with basic cable flipping through the channels, and I came on to Adult Swim when they were running anime just independently. And I managed to jump onto the second episode of Death Note, and I had followed it week to week as it was coming out. And I fell in love with it because it's a cool concept, and for someone, it's basically baby's first philosophy show.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah, I
meditating
agree.
on the nature of justice and what is right, what is wrong,
Kind
and
of
the gray areas.
reminds me of The Matrix. Baby's first philosophy movie. It's just like, what is real world?
this is
what is
deep.
real life?
Can I say though, in respect to the film though, I actually do like the way that they keep trying to push the conflict of what is morality, but also what is being a quote unquote good or bad guy, because they kind of struggled at some points with that topic, but at the same time, the fact that they even tried, I think, is a good thing.
I think that the thing is, I think that they tried, but it does come back to this. And for me, like, the very first red flag of going into this movie was noticing that it was 100 minutes long. Like, that was a problem. Like, they tried to meditate on the whole what is the meaning of justice and what is good and evil. They didn't have time to. They didn't have time to play both sides. They try. God knows they try.
Oh, yeah.
But one, it's, again, they don't have the time to, and I hate to, try to draw from the anime to try to judge this film on its own merits. They're missing a key character that they try to use with Light's dad, but there's a character in the original anime and manga called Matsuda.
Oh,
And
yeah, Matsuda.
Matsuda's he's a member of a police force that's trying to take down Light. And essentially this character is, I don't like what he's doing, but I understand why people would get on board with his methods. And he's kind of like the audience stand-in and the go-between. And without that character in this movie, the whole philosophical aspects, they kind of fall apart very quickly. Because, by the time we get to the third act, we're done meditating. We're in an action movie now.
More or less, yeah. Wait, we are kind of getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
It started with me just saying how I found the movie. I didn't even
Sorry.
get into my thoughts about the movie and my issues with it.
I'm sorry, I got so excited to rip into
It's
this.
all good. Listen,
It's all good.
it's all good. So I feel that we should completely skip the whole entire how we got into it and
Sure.
just start right into the review.
Okay.
You know what? That works. I got
Because we don't need the fluff.
We already covered the fluff just now. So
Yeah, yeah.
honestly, start us off, Chris.
All right, so let's see. Actually, no, I want you to start us off. You haven't been talking enough. Go.
You want to
Hold on.
say who? Because you just pointed
Hold
on
on. Hold
Audio
on.
Network.
He can. he knows he'll speak and then they'll know because they'll hear.
Yeah,
his
of course.
voice.
That's how context clues works.
Yes, exactly.
Genius.
All right.
All right. My pretty much opinion of the Death Note movie was that everything went a bit smooth in regards of being its own adaptation. There were some things that I felt like created plot holes. Like, for example, when the beginning of the movie, or near the beginning of the movie, when Light Turner got the Death Note for the first time,
Okay.
there was a scene where he was looking through it and it said, "Don't trust Ryu."
Oh my god, this scene drives me in fucking
This
Oh
insane.
scene
God.
pissed me off because I was like, when I first saw this, I was like, okay, there's probably going to introduce a character who's encountered Ryuk in the past, and he's probably gonna warn him to don't trust him.
Oh, that's what got you about it?
That's what got me about it.
What got me about it was, how the fuck is Ryuk not dead?
That
It's a notebook that when you write a person's name in it, they die!
And then Ryuk, funny about that, because Ryuk then says, good luck with that. The last person who wrote my name only got 2 letters.
Yeah, but the last person who wrote your name on camera wrote your entire name and wrote an entire sentence about not trusting you.
Shut the fuck up, Light. I'm trying to be edgy.
You mean William Dafoe? Oh, shit.
I mean, yeah.
I actually do like him as Ryuk.
If we're going to talk about one of the positives of this film, Willem Dafoe was perfect.
Willem Dafoe did a perfect Ryuk. He was edgy, he was scary, and he was mysterious all at the same time.
Also, props to the the special effects department. Good use of practical and CGI.
Yeah. Wait, that was an actual person?
That was a 7 foot tall man in practical makeup and CGI for the face.
Yeah. So that they could get Willem Dafoe's performance.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was really well done. I actually thought that he was CGI, but I mean, it didn't look like CGI, so I was like...
It was just the face. Everything else was real.
Oh, yeah. This movie, if we're going to talk about positives of this movie has style.
It has stylistic.
I really like the shots. Sometimes you could just freeze frame, background, screensaver, boom, right there.
Not only that,
$40 million budget.
Now, carrying on, when Light Turner first used a Death Note, I thought they were going to show like a simple death, kind of like the anime, heart attack and stuff like that. But no, they went full on Final Destination on this shit. They went full on pasta everywhere.
Are you using that as a negative? Because I fucking love that.
No, it was good.
That was fucking
good. That was awesome.
I was watching it, right? The first time I watched it, I'm like, he writes the name, and I'm like, okay, and dies. Decapitation, and Ryuk's like, oh, very creative, and I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen? So I'm watching, and they dragged it out to the perfect extent, because when I was like, what do these kids with a basketball have anything to do with anything? And then the entire chain in slow motion, everything, nobody who was in that notebook, had not been written, got injured, only the person written. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I will say that's definitely, there are moments like that definitely play to this movie's benefit. I think visually speaking, this movie is pretty damn good. Like you said, you could take frames that are wallpaper worthy. Mm-hmm. For me, there are entire moments that are just visual storytelling. What's it? There's a scene when they introduce Light's dad.
Yeah.
And they show the train tracks. They show how the house is shaking.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
The way everything's lit. You understand the entire family dynamic of this home before either character starts speaking, and it's damn impressive. There was passion put into that, and I love it for that.
I don't hate this movie, and I really respect how the directors came about making it, because I can feel that this was a passion project. I just feel that it could not live up to its potential due to its runtime. If it could have been stretched out more, it could have been developed better, and maybe some of the plot holes could have been addressed as the production continued. Yeah. But because of its runtime, it just couldn't. It couldn't fill in all the blanks, and it kind of fell short because of it.
Now that you say that, in my personal opinion, I just feel like the entire idea was scattered from beginning to the middle to the end. I just felt like they're trying all these cool ideas and trying to connect, but it kind of failed in the process. There was a scene in the middle of the film, where they show Light Turner reading an actual Japanese history book and showed a picture of Ryuk
from how he looks in the anime.
Yeah,
which some people probably loved, and personally I was like, oh fuck you.
I was actually kind of,
and it looks like they're trying to go back and forth into the original idea to the current idea to what it fleshed out, to trying to find out who Ryuk is, to the actual fleshed out plot of Light Turner slowly turning into a sociopath.
I don't know. Some of it feels like they're planting seeds for sequel bait, as if
that's what I'm trying to
stop. Okay, I can't deal with this shit. That is now the second time I've heard this. The second time that someone has said the phrase "slowly turning into a sociopath" within the film. That is bullshit. That was one of the most abrupt character shifts I've ever seen in a film ever. That was insane. He starts up as Mr. Just like, we can't just be killing people, and then out of nowhere, it's just at the end. At the end, he's just like, okay, so from this website, these very same people, and you're in this plot.
Hold it.
Let's save the third act for the last part of the review.
Because I will say, I agree with you, because this plays into one of the movie's biggest flaws, and it's its pacing.
And holy shit, that is not slow.
And let me
no, not at all. It could have been with more time.
Now, before we jump into that, let me just be clear, and we could all agree. Didn't it feel like the story was going into two separate plots and then decided to go into one singular plot?
It did not.
In regard of Light trying to figure out who Ryuk is and then going straight to.
Actually,
because that's how it felt like to me.
I did feel that there was two plots. There was the plot between Ryuk's betrayal of Light with Mia, and then there was the plot between the not the mind game, but the chess game between Light and L.
All right.
And so they just tried to do both at the same time, and it felt kind of weird.
That's the part that kind of threw me off, man.
Couple things. First, in response to you, Ferdinand.
Yeah.
I find that Light kind of going into researching Ryuk, it never felt super focused on. That seemed like something that he was just doing in his spare time, because what the fuck else do you do when there is a death god following you around everywhere?
Because it all started, because the reason why he did that, it all started from the beginning where he saw the death note and said, don't trust Ryuk.
Well, yeah, of course.
That's what started it.
That's, which I believe is the movie trying to give you a red herring. It's trying to point you into the fact that Ryuk is the one that's actively fucking up all of Light's plans. When we find out, obviously, that it's Mia.
Because she's a bitch.
Yes.
Kind of bitch.
But there's nothing really all that... I mean, Ryuk's thing isn't very complicated. Ryuk's just fucking with him. He doesn't do shit, but he likes to lie and fuck with him, and that's really as simple as it goes.
That's just how I felt. The moment they showed that scene, the moment they showed him researching, I just felt like they were trying to put a plot of someone trying to figure out who really is Ryuk, and is there someone who also knows him?
I think that's because I feel like that was more just fan service. It felt more like a fan service.
It could have been fan service one moment.
I have a question. What about to my response to Ferdy's statement, where I felt that it was two plot lines between the chess game between Light and L, and the Mia, Ryuk, Light triangle clusterfuck of sharing a death god.
Aramis, feel free to chime in on this after I'm done, but I don't think those were two separate plot lines. I think those were the Mia stuff and the Light versus L stuff are all they're parts of the same story that are intertwined, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Because then there'd be two movies.
Yeah, it's very much Light's doing his thing, Mia's pushing him along, L comes in, and now Light's trying to come up with his plan, and Mia's just constantly fucking things up.
I don't know, because I kind of feel like...
Kind of like the anime.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, how about that shit?
Except it's the total polar opposite in the anime and the manga. Light's manipulating Mia, rather in the movie it's Mia manipulating Light, and it kind of feels weird, but I can kind of understand it because I get it. Like, he is pussy whipped. He's doing anything to get that gushy gush. So.
All right, taking the adaptation thing aside, Aramis, how did you feel about how the plot was handled up? Well, again, let's leave Act 3 out of the way, but like Act 1
and 2 then.
Yeah.
So Act 1 and 2, I found that in the beginning of the movie, the pacing was actually good. For the first, I want to say 12 minutes, there was some really solid pacing and building that made me think, wow, this movie's going to go places. I actually didn't even look at the runtime until I started noticing that the cuts kept getting faster faster and faster, to the point where they were literally doing hip-hop jump cuts to keep speeding up the plot. And it's like, no.
But again, to the point
but with the two plot lines, it's not so much that there's two separate plot lines, it's that there's two different threads that are supposed to feed into the main narrative at the same time. And because of the pacing and the compression, a lot of things that you really wanted to see, or things that you needed to know, or things that could have been done better, simply couldn't be done.
Yeah.
How can you do that when your runtime is 1 hour 40 minutes, not including the credits? So less than that without the credits, like an hour and 35 minutes.
Yeah, agreed.
I kind of felt like while I was watching the movie that there were two final bosses for Light. It was his crazy girlfriend, and then there was Light. And I feel like they would have been fine if they were standalone movies on their own, but because they were intertwined, neither of the two got enough screen time to really like build into a threat.
I'd like to go into that a little bit more, but I'll save it for when we get into the third act. I actually have a question. Going to both you, Ferdinand, and you, Chris, and then to you, Aramis, because you didn't watch the anime. What do we think of L?
I feel that L tried very hard to replicate the original L.
Like the guy who played him?
Yeah. I feel that the actor tried really hard to replicate the original. I just feel that there were places where he fell flat and actually did a disservice to the original character. That would be later described in the third act.
All right, Ferdinand? Just general impressions of the character.
I felt Al was trying to be a more emotional version of Al, because as much as I like Al from the manga, I didn't like the fact that he was an emotionless robot.
Okay, fair enough. And again, as someone who watched the anime before we get to you, Aramis, I fucking loved him. Like, L is my favorite character from the anime, so my expectations were through the fucking roof. And again, up until that third act, which we will get to, I loved him. I liked the mannerisms. I liked the way he carried himself. I love the actor who played him. I thought he knocked it out of the fucking
he was
park.
great. He was great. I loved his facial reactions to when something would go down. Like, you could see the tension. You could see how it's building up. Like, he's trying to hold it back, but he just can't.
His the cafe scene between him and Light is probably one of the best scenes in the entire fucking movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's really good. Like, you can feel the tension building. It's one of the few moments like, holy shit, this is Death Note. This is fucking great.
I love the fact that Light was just subtly and very much with that shit-eating grin, pushing his buttons repeatedly and going, you can't touch me, because I am the son of an officer. Do it. And then when he gets mad, he's like, what's the big issue?
Is there a lot of racial subtext in this movie?
Yeah.
God damn.
There was
America.
Yeah,
there was a lot of racial
damn.
subtext.
We can open that can of worms in a second, but like, for real though, Aramis, what did you think of
L?
Yeah.
I found him to be interesting, even if I was a little confused, because on my first watch of the movie, I just found it odd that everybody's from Seattle, but this dude who's African American. I'm not trying to be like racist or anything. I just got confused that you have an African American with no background given to why he's born or raised in Japan. Suddenly, he's in Japan, he's a detective. He comes in, and that was interesting. And I liked his character development, you know what I mean? But there were points where I just felt a little confused about where he actually stood.
They try to explain it, but like the general gist of it, as how they explain it even in the movie, is that he's a world famous detective that kind of only takes on cases that he's interested in. And when the Kira killings start up in Japan, he immediately takes an interest to that because it fascinates him, and that's really his whole game on it. Which is right out of the anime as well. Like, it's all because he finds it fascinating and that it's a huge puzzle for him to solve. I will say my biggest criticism of the character is a lot of his deductive reasoning seems to be pulled straight out of his ass. And he just happens to be right.
I was going to actually bring that up next, but thank you for bringing it up now.
Right.
We don't have to.
I actually was going to bring that up myself. I was not a fan of the many times where the movie would get really tense or go really quiet because there was something that needed to happen. And L was always with the, Mr. Turner, haven't you considered X, Y, and Z? And everybody looks at him like even the actors look at him like, how the fuck did you deduce that when there's nothing to deduce it from?
Yeah.
It's that. You can't have
I feel it's the runtime.
It's the runtime that doesn't help, because you can't have a detective that magically can deduce and assume things when little to no knowledge, because I know that there's a scene in Act 3 that made me realize why I particularly didn't end up liking him by the end of the movie, my sympathy level for him went to 0, especially with the scene at the at Light's house.
Oh yeah,
that made me love it because it added an element of realism. If I was his father,
we can get to
we'll get to
Act 3 because that's its whole fucking can of worms.
That is a can of worms.
But yeah, my big thing is a lot of his, like I said, a lot of his decisions feel like they're pulled out of his ass. Like when he brings on Light's dad to join his task force, there's never really a reasoning behind it. Like,
aside from he's the only officer that doesn't like Kira. Aside from that.
But like, there's no real reasoning to pinpoint him in Seattle, Washington. There's no real reason that this specific cop is going to be on his side. It all feels very much like a plot contrivance, which it is. But like, I get it. You have to get pieces in motion.
Yeah.
And I would be willing to overlook it if we didn't get to fucking Act 3, which we'll get to.
Pretty much, my opinion. That's how I felt. Those were my issues. The beginning was good. The plot holes, as I mentioned, kind of grind my gears because I thought they were going to go through a separate route, but then they went through another route.
Yeah.
And in my personal opinion, I feel like the director himself was originally... I felt like he originally tried to planned to have Light try to meet the previous owners of Death Note, and looks like because of the runtime, he decided to go to another direction instead. That's how I felt like.
Yeah. I can't help but wonder how much of this movie may have
been edited.
Had some studio involvement as far as like what finally made it into the final cut.
Yeah.
Because this movie feels like it should have gone on for maybe another 40 minutes to an hour.
I honestly wouldn't have... I could have seen this movie taking a full Lord of the Rings 3 hours.
Yes.
I could see that.
I actually was disappointed it wasn't 3 hours long. I think 3 hours to cover the base story of Death Note is reasonable. You can compress very gently while also elaborating on your own ideas while not feeling pressured to be done by the exact end of your runtime.
Or turn it into a series. For fuck's sake, make every episode an hour and a half.
And on a $1 million budget per episode, they basically could have had the Game of Thrones of anime.
Exactly.
Another thing that I stopped and thought about, right?
Have you seen Sherlock? Every episode is literally an hour and a half.
Yeah, that doesn't play to the show's benefit. Sherlock is shit.
Anyways, actually, now that I stop and think about it, there's even better reasoning for why the movie should have been longer. They're on a streaming site. This isn't a movie theater where once you leave the fucking seat, you're missing out on shit. You could just pause it. There was no reason for why it had to be as short as it was to keep someone's attention.
I don't know if that's true. I'm sure there might have been budgetary constraints. There was probably a lot of stuff, a lot of strings.
It's Netflix. They don't fucking care. They throw the stacks to the wind.
Being pulled behind the strings.
What I don't understand is how can your movie cost $40 million to make and produce, but only have a runtime of an hour and 40 minutes.
See, here's my thing, is that this is how I know it's had to be in place of studio meddling, because when this movie was originally brought to studios, like big budget studios, they willingly walked away from multiple people because they wanted a hard R psychological horror thriller. We got a PG-13, very short pseudo-action movie, and somewhere along the way, someone went, fuck you, you're doing this movie now or never. And the director was like, God damn it, I think I have to.
That's how I felt like.
You gotta sprinkle in some psycho romance in there too, just a little bit.
A little bit of American Horror Story.
Seriously, man.
That being said, that's pretty much my final piece of how I feel about it. I'm going to turn it over to Alex over here.
I think we need to talk about Act 3 now.
Here we go.
All right.
So...
I don't want to
one more thing before we go in.
The racial subtext that you were bringing up, is that related to Act 3? Or?
Oh no, not at all. They have an idea where you could probably tease at that, but there's not enough in this movie to really warrant that much of a discussion, I don't think.
But you can throw in an assumption.
There is a lot that you could go with, because, and quick disclaimer, I am a cis white male. I have no actual way of talking about gender, race, any of these issues. It's not who I am. That being said, what I could possibly glean, it very much seems like our main protagonist is a upstanding A student white kid from a position of privilege where he can essentially get away with anything. And our his antagonist is a renowned, genius black guy in Seattle. There's a lot of this where it feels like this movie could have gone that route, where it feels like especially considering how tense it is here in the US, that they could have gone that route and went through those issues. But like I said, there's nothing really there to glean from. There's nothing to really dig at. I don't know if you guys saw any of that.
I thought that the possibility was there, and I was actually fearful that they would explore. I was hoping to God that they would not. I do not need more divisive media. I'm good. So I'm glad that it was just hey. Good guy, bad guy, they fight, enough said. No more of that.
You kind of see it at the end, actually. At the end, that subtext comes out, but let's start Act 3, and then we can elaborate on that.
That's more of a let's overthink it kind of segment.
Let's start Act 3. We're going to pass the torch to Alex, because I'm done with my turn.
So like I said, there is a moment where you realize this, there is a moment in this movie, when Act 3 starts, where you realize you are in a completely different film, and everything starts to go to shit. Now, Elle has an assistant throughout this entire movie. Watari. They say Watari, but whatever.
Watari.
White people can't pronounce Japanese, I guess. Whatever. So, Light and Mia have an idea of, let's control Watari by writing his name in the Death Note and controlling him. And where it immediately goes out the window is, it works. It works. I believe. All right, for anyone who didn't know, the rules of the Death Note are you have to see the person's face and you have to know their name. Aside from the fact that obviously Watari should be a pseudonym, there's no way that's his actual name. Do they ever actually see his face?
I believe.
Is he at the press conference?
yes.
All right.
Yes. Press conference.
Just want to make sure.
My issue is that for every other character, right? It's first name, last name. It's just Watari.
Yeah.
It's just this guy has no last name. There is no family name.
Is a level of stupidity, because you knew from the press conference that this hinges on a name and a face. Why are you not using pseudonyms? Your boss Elle is using a pseudonym. Why aren't you, stupid?
That's a good question.
Why? Because we needed Act 3 to happen.
Yep.
So
Kill him off despite having a pseudonym, clearly.
So he takes control. Light takes control of Watari to try to get information on Elle. It doesn't go well. Police are following them, which kind of backs them both, him and me, into a corner. We go to a stereotypical high school prom scene, which I think is homecoming, but whatever. It's a high school dance. Until we finally learn that, oh no, Mia is secretly the villain!
Dun, dun, dun.
Hold on. Wait. There's one thing that you're completely
What am I
looking
overlooking?
over. Man, can we just talk about how Watari died? Can we please just talk about how he died?
I don't like how
that is the most frustrating part of the movie, in my opinion.
Death by SWAT team?
How did they know that he was even there?
They didn't.
No explanation as to how the fuck he got followed. Zero.
You know what's even worse?
Zero.
I tried scrubbing through the movie to find anything that could have referenced how. Even the couple of glimpses at the page, because this is the one thing with the movie I found issue with.
Yeah.
They like to not actually show you full on what's written on the page, which leads me to think either one of two things. They like to kite it up because of the quality of the book, which I don't think that's the issue.
Right.
Or number two, all the writing is just CGI'd in.
Oh, shit.
Which is why would you CGI writing onto a page?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
What's
I
up?
want to add something to that. I believe he got followed because of Elle.
Yeah, I think Elle calls the task force, please bring Watari back.
And
then
so they shoot
him.
him up, which is ridiculous.
Because the Death Note.
Yeah, you could chalk it up to Death Note bullshit, but character-wise, it makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah.
They're just
What
fucking dumb.
fucks me up most of all, right,
Yeah.
is that when he gets found, right, they ask him, is he, are you Watari?
Yeah.
They ask him twice.
Yeah.
And then he just looks at him, he blinks, they light him up. It
There is
blows
racial
my
subtext.
mind.
Yeah, because his task force are Americans. Wait, how the hell did you deploy a bunch of Americans cross-continental and time to catch him before his Deaf.
Okay, I don't want to wave it away with the
Dealer's
fact
choice,
that
Ryuk.
L
Dealer's
is
choice.
working for the FBI, but like, yeah, it is. It's dumb. It is that whole dealer's choice thing is stupid.
Fucking dumb.
Dealer's
back-
choice. This is
yeah.
in blackjack.
Going back to, oh yeah, Mia is secretly the bad guy now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that this takes away all of the moral ambiguity this movie could have possibly portrayed. You now have a clear-cut bad guy, which just does not work for this kind of story. But all of a sudden, this leads to Light running off, hastily scribbling something down, which we don't find out until the end.
And running away.
Leads to L picking up a gun for mentally snapping when he finds out that Watchery is now dead, which, never mind that this
caused
totally,
that death.
completely betrays this entire character. I don't know how much of that is my bias towards the anime or how much of that is just poor movie writing. It feels like it just is a mental snapping point. But he grabs a gun. He's gonna come to shoot Light.
And then what?
Yeah.
And
What then follows is one of the worst chase scenes I've ever seen put to film.
Oh,
Can I
Lord.
just point
They
out?
put in a fruit stand.
They put in a what?
Did they put in the fruit stand?
Yes, they did.
They
Yes,
did.
they did.
Yeah.
So my biggest problem with the chase scene,
Yeah.
and again, just from scrubbing the scene over after I was done, if you pay attention to the physicality of both L and Light,
Yeah.
there's actually no practical reason L should have maintained. No, I'm sorry. No practical reason why Light even maintained the lead at all.
No.
None.
He's kind of the
Yeah.
nerdy guy. He's not necessarily athletic.
I know. When did he turn into Spider-Man's mini-me? Suddenly picking up cues from Spider-Man, Jason Bourne, and Batman.
And never mind that, they're bashing through kitchens, they're running on counters,
Tripping
like
people into walls, slamming them into tables.
I'm just waiting for them
throwing
to do like
downstairs.
they were like one parkour flip away from like, oh fuck you, it's a Power Rangers movie.
Ah, shit. Not like this.
They just needed the flip.
It does lead to one admittedly funny moment where L catches up to Light and L gets knocked,
kill you! I'm gonna put you down for what you did to what?
gets knocked unconscious by one of Light's followers,
That's-
which was actually
Satisfying.
hilarious.
I was actually happy because I felt like, wait, there was an actual reason as to why we got those jump cuts of him having a cult.
Yeah, it's like,
Finally.
all right, well played.
Finally.
My
Golf
favorite part though is when Light just looks at the dude like with deer lights, like, what the hell did you just do? And he goes, Kira saves. He's like, yeah, you're right,
yeah,
Kira
fuck
does
yeah.
save. And then grabs the gun and
Yeah,
runs.
and then so
Hold on.
Like,
can we
what's
just
up?
like can we
What's
just
up?
talk
Go for it.
about
Kev.
how this fucking henchman, I guess you could say this cult follower, instantly just assumed that it must be Kira.
Well, they
It
are
must be.
Well, not that.
I mean, they
no, he
are
did-
screaming about the murders. It's like,
But
you're Kira Light!
but
It's like,
listen.
thanks, Al.
But listen, that's not the point, right?
Yeah.
What I'm getting at is that there's no evidence to say that that is Kira. This guy's just like, aside from random rage and a gun being pointed at what might be the savior, quote unquote, this guy has no reason to believe that that's actually Kira.
You're not
But
familiar with many cults, are you?
can I
They
point-
don't operate on evidence.
Can I point
shit,
out one
you're right.
thing
You
to
got
you
a
though? The
point.
one logical reason that can explain that.
So-
If I was a restaurant like worker and there's a dude with no badge, dressed in black, holding a revolver at a kid, and
then
screaming, literally screaming insanity about how he's a murderer, my first reaction is, boom!
Never mind
grab his
the
gun
parent-
and hold him there.
Never mind the fact that if he does bring up the fact that he's Kira, essentially what this restaurant worker is saying is, oh my god. Actually, yeah, literally, oh my god. He's holding my god at gunpoint.
It's either, oh my god, he is literally holding my god at gunpoint, or, oh my god, this insane black man's holding a white, young, privileged child at gunpoint.
Racial subtext.
Seattle.
You got what you wanted, Alex.
Seattle.
You got what you wanted.
Yay!
God bless
The
Seattle.
world is terrible!
You got what you wanted.
Anyway,
Black guy with the Lord gets arrested first.
back to the summary.
Sorry.
So, after that scene, Light ends up running. He ends up meeting his psycho girlfriend on the top of a Ferris wheel. Boxed in by the FBI. Girlfriend's still fucking crazy. You find out that at some point both of them have written each other's names in the Death Note. And
except that like got
hold on, we'll get to that. And right at the second the clock strikes midnight, Ferris wheel comes down. They both fall. Mia's dead. Light is presumably dead. We cut to a few weeks later. Light is now comatose in a hospital. His dad comes to visit him, and then Light decides to unveil his plan to his father, that he planned this whole little charade. That he had immediately written down, when he wrote down Mia's name in the notebook, he managed to concoct this insane plan that got him out of death scot-free and completely safe and completely out of harm's way.
Actually, he wasn't in a coma for a few weeks. He was in a coma for 2 days.
Either way.
Thank you for doing this, watching it twice. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Scrub.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, my big thing with that scene that I laughed at is the fact that he somehow, in a moment of intense anxiety, panic, and oh my god, the cops are coming for me because Psycho Girlfriend's a liar, right? He manages to go, okay, there are 2 people here, writes down their names, and writes down a series of actions such as he baited her into grabbing the book, which that's all she had to do. If she hadn't grabbed the book, he would have died.
Yeah,
you know what's actually fucked up? Really fucked up when you stop and think about it, right? So, if you write a person's name in the book, what happens before their death, if you're extending it for a couple days later, is that you basically have mind control over them. They have no choice, they have no free will.
And
right?
they played that into that.
So listen, right? The thing is, she never had a choice. The moment he wrote her name and grabs book, it was a done deal.
No,
even if you put the clause of if, then this, that doesn't matter. The point is, he already wrote the action for what she will do.
I agree on both of your sides. I like the fact that he offers her an out, but it is a moment of bad writing and a bad decision. Obviously.
I still thought that was really good bait, though, because he baited her into grabbing the book. Literally, it was, you're a psycho, you're a liar, you betrayed me, let me give you a taste of, betrayal by literally having you save me from dying.
Yeah.
He baits her, she grabs the book, and he's just like, outwardly he was panicking, but I think internally he was laughing at the fact that she was dumb enough to go for the book anyway. Because my favorite part is when she's falling and she's grabbing onto him and sees the book and tries to grab it and loses her grip, and as she's falling in slow motion, his page falls out.
Yeah. He set that all up, and it's fucking wonderful because for my 2 friends who have watched this, that was fucking Death Note.
That was the OG
you can
Death
actually,
Note.
You can create insane fucking things, and reality will bend to your will.
Yes.
Maybe not to such an insane extent. It's not like it's an all-powerful Deus Ex Machina thing.
It has to be reasonable.
But you can construct it so that shit like that can happen.
He did write it within the realm of believability.
Exactly.
So, I mean, like, if you were to try to logically break down the scene and explain why everybody lied,
like malfunction, mechanical malfunction.
This mechanical malfunction that Ryuk was doing, just because
XD.
It says I have to kill both of you, so someone's gonna die tonight, right?
Dealer's choice, right?
Dealer's choice. So the Ferris wheel finally finishes breaking as they're both beginning to fall. But there's a clear thing that a lot of people didn't catch that probably makes them think, well, Light should have died too. Actually, no. By the time he fell off, the Ferris wheel had already tilted another 15 degrees easily. So it shot him like this. Meanwhile, Mia literally went flat. Bam.
Also, I also do
into a bed of roses.
I like the fact that throughout his entire insane scenario, he only refers to himself in that as her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Which, clever.
Yes.
And
because if he wrote his name, then he'd be fucked all over again.
As cool as that master plan is, this is where it really falls apart. For anyone who's listening right now, everything that I described in that summary, that happened in the course of 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, that did take fucking forever.
No, not forever. All of that, everything
once.
I just said, happened so goddamn quickly. That is the fastest part of the film.
Well,
when I say
the
forever,
Ferris wheel scene was the slowest part.
That's what I'm saying. The Ferris wheel scene it felt like it took too long. The slow-mo of her falling, I was just like, please, I get the point, she's dead.
It's weird because the Ferris wheel took too long, but everything from the second Watchery's name goes in the Death Note
2 times fast forward.
to that. up to that is so fucking... It's like a fucking blur.
I don't know if any of the viewers like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but it's literally King Crimson skipping through time, just like...
I haven't seen part 5, but that's a sweet fucking JoJo's reference, bro!
Yeah, man! Watch us get 10,000 likes, bro!
Like now, no, but I mean...
Please like, comment, and subscribe.
But being real, right?
Subscribe to Crunchyroll.
My only issue with that scene, though, is in that panic, how would you have the clarity to write out that entire diatribe of people literally dying to save you?
Okay.
He sacrificed 3 people. I mean, all 3 of them didn't matter, including his girlfriend. That's why I said 3.
Whatever.
Okay.
I'd say 2, but she technically had to die, so...
This is why I say it plays into Light kind of becoming the sociopath that we all know and love from the anime throughout this. It's just, that's the moment where you realize how intelligent this child is and how much of his innocence from the beginning of this movie is immediately ripped away from him. The reason you don't feel it and the reason you don't buy it, again, is the pacing of it. It happens way too quickly. If we had more time to watch him slowly get more and more evil, we could have bought that.
Yeah.
But we never get that moment where we switch from twerpy high school student to Machiavellian demon.
I don't know.
Then you have William Dafoe's last line. Oh, humans, you're so interesting.
That's actually from the anime as well, and man, it made me really sad. Because as much as I love that line, you can't drop that after that third act. It just felt hollow.
Yeah. The way I see this whole entire thing, going back to the pacing, now that we have discussed the third act, fucking leave.
That's a while.
We have been absolved!
So, the reason why I am so glad that we finally got through the third act and why I can talk about this shit is because we can finally continue what I started about how this guy had the shortest character development in the span of like
an hour and 40 minutes.
Fucking hour and 40 minutes. It felt like 30 seconds. It was just so quick. It might have been the snap of a finger. I just did it right now. He already changed, you see? Now he's a fucking organ donor or some shit. I don't know.
He's a fucking fuckboy, he could be.
Yeah, that too.
He's a fuckboy.
Fuckboy to fuck people. Daddy.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Like that.
Fuckboy to Big Daddy.
So going back to right. So at the beginning of the movie, he's just a nerd. Like straight up, he's just a nerd. He likes this girl. It's kind of weird stalking her, even you could say.
But she was kind of into it.
Let's skip over that.
Weird.
Yeah,
that was really weird.
Let's not go into Mia's character because it started off all right, and then she turned into it. She turned into a Marvel villain very quick.
Let's honestly, I would prefer to have forgotten that she existed from the movie entirely. I wish she had the role that she had in the original source material, because at least then I could forget about her and feel good about it.
I disagree.
But this is like a major plot character.
I thought it was a neat subversion of the original anime because it went from this crazy sociopath manipulating this obsessed pop star. We now have the sociopathic love interest manipulating the naive, love-struck protagonist.
Who is soon to be also a sociopath, haha.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying they handled it well. I'm just saying, if this were a better movie, that would have been brilliant. I would have been praising this film to high heaven.
I get it.
It has the bones of being a great film, is where I get down to with this. It doesn't have any of the meat.
Alright, what do you need to say, Ferdy?
I'm just saying, Mia tried to be Dio, but didn't work out well.
Oh,
there we go.
So,
you thought it was Dio, but it was I, Mia!
Okay.
Pretty much, because, let's be honest, we all thought it was Ryuk, but then...
No, we didn't. You did?
I did, yeah!
Wow, that movie fucking played you like a fiddle.
For the first 30 seconds, on my first watch through, I was thinking, is this Ryuk just going out of his way to fuck with him?
Yeah, I literally thought that
30 seconds into watching Act 3, I'm like, no. It's not.
Yeah, by Act 3.
No, the second Mia decided she was about to, she was getting ready to go home when they were.
I knew she took the book.
I knew she took a page out of the notebook.
I thought she took the book or a page.
Yeah.
Either or.
I think the moment that everyone figured it out was when they had a little lover spat and the FBI.
Is that what you call it?
Shut up, bitch! Fight me. So the lover spat where fucking Light finds out that the FBI agents, all of them, committed suicide. It's just like, wait, I didn't do that. Who did that? That's where everyone just kind of figured it's just like, yeah, it's the crazy bitch that wanted him dead in the first
Except
place.
Ferdinand, who thought it was Ryuk.
No. By that part,
I mean, what about the fact that all she kept doing was, well, don't you trust me? Actually, no, I really don't trust you.
No, but he kind of does, like, wholeheartedly.
Yeah, because he's a fucking idiot.
He's a fuck boy.
He's thinking with his dick.
Yeah, fuck boy.
The wrong brain. It's the small brain.
No, but again, this is where I come down to. It's like, as a high school student, I'm not saying I agree, but I do understand.
Look, I'll be honest with you. I would have done the same, but the moment she started trying to push that boundary, I would look her dead in the eye and be like, if I write your name in this book, you're not gonna like what I make you do. So I would suggest one of two things.
Yeah, you think
you back down, or you fuck off.
You think he would have drawn the line when she said, "Hey, let's kill your dad."
I would have drawn the line in the sand way before the dad.
True, but like at that point, you should be like.
At that point, she would have been dead.
You should be terraforming the earth. Fuck a line.
Oh shit!
Fuck terraforming. I'm gonna be God. You think just because you're Kira's assistant that you're immune? No. Kira saves. It's just another way of saying Kira saves if you don't fuck with Kira.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, like America?
I mean, he did take the American approach, the good old American.
Yeah. So, guys, I feel like we've kind of talked this. I feel like we've officially picked this movie apart. Do we want to finally give it a final score?
Oh,
Pretty much. Sure. Final thoughts. I'm gonna stick with this YouTuber Etika World Network and what he said about it. A standalone film, I have to give it a 6 out of 10. It tried to go places. It really did. I felt like it was trying to go somewhere really nice. But through but in the middle and final act, you could tell everything was going on a completely derailed direction, and that's why I have to give it a score. As a Death Note adaptation, the title Death Note adaptation.
Yeah.
I have to give it a 4 out of 10 because it took away a lot of the things that made Death Note Death Note.
All right, fair enough. Chris, what do you give the score?
Actually, this isn't going to be interesting at all because I have the exact same scores. Fuck.
Just say it. It's all right.
So
Agree.
I think the more important part, aside from the fucking number, is the reasoning, right?
Yeah, of course.
So for me, as a standalone, it's a 6 out of 10 until you get to the final act. And then it drops down to a 2 out of 10.
As a whole, though?
As a whole, I'd give it a solid 5.
A 5?
In the past, I would have said I'd give it a 6. I changed that answer. I'm giving it a 5 now.
Fair enough.
Feel the way I score things is kind of the same way, like you would get a grade in school. Yeah. So a fucking A is a 9 out of 10 and up.
No, I get how numbers work.
Yeah. So D would be a 6 out of 10. I'm giving this shit an F. So it fucking failed for me.
5.
Like, it was close to at least like skeeting by with a passing grade, but there were too many negatives, not enough positives for me to be able to recommend it to someone else who hasn't seen Death Note as a like introductory film, to the series.
Fair enough. What about you, Aramis?
I mean, if we were gonna rate the acts and then do a total on that, this movie could have been salvageable. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, I would, as a standalone film, I would have given this film a 7 had Act 3 not been the total disaster that it was. At best, this film is a 6. And even then, 6 is still very average. 5 is even more average.
Yeah.
I mean,
what scale are you using? Are you using like grade scale, or are you using like 5 as the medium?
I look at 5 as the medium, honestly, because
5 is average to me.
5 is so average that it's like I don't believe that that there are things that outright fail. I believe that there are things that do have a lot of issues, but in the end, there are things that are nice about it, and that's the thing with this movie. I want to give it a 7 or an 8. I would love to give it a 9 if it was worthy of a 9. But it's only, in my opinion, a 6, and I really hate it because as a standalone film, 6 is not that bad, but when you think about it in terms of a Death Note movie, that score easily can be transcribed down to a 2 or a 4.
All right, fair enough. And personally, for me, I give it a 4.5. I think this movie is just below like the bare average. I couldn't recommend it to you. This movie does have style, though. I will give it that.
Oh, yeah.
This
It
movie
had style.
this
It had
movie-
pasta.
is very nice to look
Good
at.
music.
Honestly, if you want to watch this movie, in my opinion, throw it on, mute the volume, throw some industrial music over it. You'll at least have something fun to look at.
Yeah, you got a point there. Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, the other side of the coin, if you and your friends want to just get smashed and watch it, I think it might actually be a 7 if you're not, like... If you're
Oh
not,
yeah, this
if
is
you're-
easily
if
a drunk 7.
It's a drunk 7 or an 8. Like, an 8 especially... 8, it's... Alright, you can... This movie can reach a 9 on the drunk scale, only if... For every 5 seconds you can't hold your laughter at the last scene with Mia dying, you have to keep taking shots.
Oh, shit.
I say take a shot every time the movie does something asinine, but like I don't want to send people to the hospital.
See, at least my
Drink
option-
responsibly, kids.
See, at least in
Oh,
my,
God.
at least what I suggested, the danger zone is only 45 seconds long,
Dude.
not an hour 40 minutes long.
Dude, oh shit, that reminds me of me and my buddies when we did the Lord of the Rings drinking game. We had to quit halfway.
That's a fool's errand.
You watching the director's cut?
Yeah, dude, that's what happened.
Wait,
yo.
were you doing shots or just drinking?
Yeah,
No,
shots.
don't do shots. You
Real-
drink
real
like
legit.
you drink like Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Oh,
You're supposed to like drink like light beer the entire way through. Because
How
by
aren't you dead?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, they made it halfway of a 3-hour film, so I mean, an hour and a half of taking shots.
We had to stop drinking because we wanted to watch the rest of the film.
Well, guys, if you've taken anything from this review, it's
Be
drink
safe.
Mike's Hard Lemonade while watching Lord of the Rings.
Or Angry Orchard if you like your.
I mean, hell yeah.
I mean, you could also do that for Sausage Party, but I mean, Lord of the Ring works too. Whatever.
Yeah.
or
No. Hold on.
or if you want to be even more weird, go stick with Pro Jared's review. 3 marshmallows on a bowl of cereal.
You know what?
It's not that.
It is that.
This is
But
about-
it had tiny marshmallows
this is
at the
about-
start.
If there were like 3 marshmallows in the bowl.
Oh,
All right, this is like I want to say maybe 3 out of 5 Far Cries.
Oh! Wait.
3 being
Which
the
one?
best one.
Which one?
3 being the best one.
Oh
you said.
shit.
That was the ironic
Oh,
statement.
yeah.
I didn't mean it.
Well, in that case, I will give this 4 out of 5 Far Cries.
Oh shit.
I will give this 1 Primal out of 5 Far Cries.
Wow. 1 out of 6? That's even worse. I'm sweating from how intense the scoring is getting.
And that's the end, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Really, guy? Thank you for listening, folks. Stay tuned for our next episode. Bye-bye.